Tucker Carlson appeared on on Adam Carolla's podcast, and he warned the Democrats will do anything to stop Trump, but they're not going to do lockdowns. They're not going to do COVID. In fact, he says they're going to start war with Russia in an effort to defeat Trump. And that makes sense. When presidents are facing war, they tend to receive substantial support. But I'm not entirely convinced. We'll see. The way Joe Biden screwed up Afghanistan, I'm not sure people really trust his foreign policy. And if they do start a war, Donald Trump will promise to end it diplomatically, and that may actually work with the American public. Tucker Carlson also said that Barack Obama is gay, likes having adult relations with males, and smokes crack in that same interview. I guess we'll talk about that. And as a bunch of other stories, too. We got secretaries of state are ramping up the effort to remove Trump from the ballot. So things should get pretty wild. Of course, now we've got the left is claiming the Maui fires were caused by white people. I know. It's hard to say, but it's time everyone admits it. Colonialism.
Oh, wow.
That's what they're saying. They're saying white coloners destroyed Hawaii, whatever. We'll talk about that, too. My friends, before we get started, head over to timcast.com, click join us, become a member to support the show over at timcast.com. You'll get access to the members only uncensored show Monday through Thursday at 10 p.m., where you as a member can call into the show and talk to us and our guest, ask us questions, and it's a whole lot of fun. These members-only shows are a bit not family-friendly, and ladies and gentlemen, I do believe the Timcast app is now available in the Google Play Store. So open up the Google Play Store on your Android phones, type in Timcast, and please be there, because it'd be really funny if it's, there it is. Wonderful. If you go on Google Play, you can actually install the Timcast app and listen to the show on the app, all of that really awesome stuff. Finally, we're still waiting on Apple. They're very serious about security and all that stuff. So, I can respect it. It's going to take a little bit longer for the iPhone app to come out, but Android is currently available. Also, you'll see the link to the Timcast IRL in Miami event. The redheaded libertarian Josie will be co-hosting a pre-show. So definitely pick up your tickets right now. What do we got left? We've got 690 tickets remaining, and we just announced this last Thursday, I think it was. So it's been just about a week, and we're already looking like we sold maybe 150. So it'll probably, you may have some time. I'm not going to act like, they're flying off the shelves. The first event we did sold out, I think, in like a day or two. That was down in Austin. This is going to be in Miami with Patrick Bet David, Donald Trump Jr., Matt Gaetz. Luke Rudkowski and I will be coasting. And of course, Ian will be with us as well.
Hell yeah.
It's going to be a whole lot of fun. We hope to see you there. There's a pre-show and there's going to be an after show for those that are in the audience. We will be live streaming, but we will only live stream the core portion. So the pre-show will not be live, and the after show for the audience with Q&A will also just be for the event only. But check that out at timcast.com. Smash that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to this channel. Share the show. It really is the best way to help. I'm looking at, all of these different shows. I'm like, how do you succeed? And the reality is we've never run ads on this stuff ever. It really is just because of word of mouth and organic reach. So thank you all so much. You guys have been the main reason that we exist where we are today. So consider sharing the show. Take that URL, post it wherever if you really do like what we do. Joining us tonight to talk about this and a whole lot more is Joshua Smith.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Tim. I appreciate it.
Who are you?
I'm a candidate for president of the United States of America for the Libertarian Party. Some are calling me the preeminent candidate. I've been an at-large and vice chair on the Libertarian National Committee since 2018 in one form or another. Came from the Ron Paul Revolution in 2008, worked on his campaign, and then he, of course, endorsed me famously in 2020 for chair of the Libertarian National Committee. So
wow.
That's where I'm at. It was the pinnacle of my life next to my children.
Are you going to have Michael Malice be your press secretary?
I have said that I will force him by court order if need be. So, yeah, absolutely.
Because Dave's not going to do it. So, whoever does has to get Michael Malice to be the press secretary.
Absolutely.
Has to happen.
I agree. There's nobody better for it.
Absolutely.
The job, so.
Right on, man. Well, it should be a lot of fun. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, of course.
Phil's back.
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Avanti, lead singer of All That Remains, anti-communist and counter-revolutionary.
Dude,
extraordinaire.
It looks like you put on a hell of a show last weekend.
I did. I had a little bit of an event. My friend's band called me up. The band's called Five Finger Death Punch. Ivan, their singer, was ill, and so they called me and asked me if I could fill in for him. They were opening for a small band called Metallica. And it was sick.
Dude, it was in the round. You guys shot in that huge stadium.
Yeah. I mean, Metallica,
80,000 people. Is it?
More than Taylor Swift, yeah.
More than I mean, it's
Literally.
Metallica,
Yeah.
obviously.
The biggest metal band of all time.
And you got to open.
Yeah.
Wow, that's insane.
Whipping your body
video's
around
crazy.
like a rubber
It was
hose,
awesome.
dude.
I mean, it was super. Like, it's super cool that like I am able to help out my friends. Like the guys in Five Finger Death Punch, I've been friends with those guys for years and years. I've known Ivan since he was in Motigrator in 2004. We did some touring, so I've known those guys for ages. So it's super cool that like I can go ahead and step in and help them out and make sure that the show goes on because, you know, it was a record-breaking show. It was a big deal. Like it made history.
Yeah.
It was the biggest show that ever happened at the place, and I got to come in and I look like this, you know, like the guy that comes in to save the day. So it's,
If they haven't seen it, there's clips on your Twitter and
dude, it's
on
amazing.
Instagram. It is wild, man.
there will be a bigger video coming because Five Finger had like pro footage and stuff, so we're getting that. We're gonna cut something together. You should check it out.
Great to meet you, Josh. I'm looking forward to talking about politics tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to echo the Timcast IRL event in Miami, which I'll be at. We'll be on stage, and we had so much fun in Austin last time, talking to people after the show too. I got a chance to stick around and meet people. So if you guys ever want to get out to one of these shows, this Miami show is going to be lit. Come on down, man.
And Miami's already lit.
It is, and we are planning an elite members only get together. So that's for the elite members at timcast.com. There's no VIP tickets, but it's basically if you're a Timcast member at $100 or more, you're in the elite criteria, which is access to like early release stuff, internals. Like we just tell you what's going on. We do we give people access to like the app before it comes out. We're probably going to be releasing the code for the video game to our elite members to just do whatever they want with. And so it's kind of just like a club. But we're going to have a special event for our elite members.
I think the best place to get tickets is at timcast.com. Up at the top, there's a banner. And I don't know if there's another direct link, but that's how you get it. So hit it.
Right on. We got Kellen pressing the buttons.
Yes, I'm back. My name is Kellen. And yeah, dude, Miami in October. I feel like that's one of the best times to be there. So it should be a lot of fun. Buy your tickets. Come down. See Ian on the beach. You know, that's where he'll be.
It's going to be fun.
Shirtless.
All right, let's jump into the news. Tucker Carlson predicts hot war with Russia to defeat Trump in election. He was speaking to Adam Carolla, and he said, they will do anything to win. So how do they do that? They're not going to do COVID again. Whoever on the right is afraid they're going to do COVID and mask mandates, they're not going to do that. Carlson told Adam Carolla, they can't do that. They've already been exposed. That won't work. There's going to be, what are they going to do? They're going to go to war with Russia. It's what they're going to do. There will be a hot war between the United States and Russia in the next year. Yikes. That's strong words coming from Tucker. And it is a contrast to what we've talked about, what many have said, because we are seeing mask mandates come back.
Yes.
However, he may be right.
The COVID game is played. I think I agree with them there that it's going to be with us forever now. It's going to be mutating, and you're going to have lesser dangerous strains, lesser painful ones, and then every once in a while one will mutate that's like kind of hard, but there will be like but it's like the flu. And
That's not the question. The question is, will they try to use it for political reasons?
The thing Tucker, I watched him interview Donald Trump last week. I don't know if you guys saw the interview. At the very end, he's like, so do you think there's going to be civil unrest? Yes. And he's doing that Sullivan nod where he's nodding. And I'm like, geez, what is he trying to incite? Like, and Trump is just like, I don't want to even answer that. Like, you could tell. And Tucker's like, civil unrest? And he's nodding. Like, why is he, I don't know why he said that. I don't know why that we're going to war with Russia. I don't know why he said that.
Well,
Probably
for one,
because of the fact that there's a war in Ukraine and we're funding it,
and we're at war with Russia already, but it's not formalized.
So he thinks
probably why.
I mean,
let me help you out. Let me clarify.
Yeah, they don't want war with Russia. They want a proxy.
Let me help you out. I'll clarify for Tucker Carlson. They're not going to war with Russia. He's wrong. What he should have said is they're going to formally announce we have been at war with Russia and try and act like it's just begun.
I'm concerned about total war. I can understand the proxy war, like Vietnam. We fought the communists in Vietnam. We didn't want to bomb Moscow because we didn't want Washington to get wiped off the map. Right. And if we go to war with Russia, we're going to annihilate each of our capitals.
We are at
and
war
then
with
China
Russia.
will take over the world, or India and China will take it over.
We'll slow down there. We're at war with Russia right now. We already are. And so what do you guys think will happen in the election cycle?
Well, they're definitely going to bring the COVID's coming back. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I already see people talking about mask mandates at schools. They're definitely going to start.
Joe Biden's talking about a new vaccine to be funded.
A whole new one that's going to work this time, he says. And
it's a weird thing to say, and it's inappropriate, mind you.
Yeah. Yes.
inappropriate for Joe Biden to say that. I mean, it actually is.
I don't
Like,
think Joe
what's he
Biden
doing?
cares what's inappropriate at this point. I honestly think that Joe Biden is
That's right.
like
He'll sniff your kid right in front of you.
he's much like Weekend at Bernie's right now. And someone's holding him up with strings and walking him around the stage. I honestly, I don't know. I think that they're gonna try to push the mandates back. I think they're gonna try to mess with people's jobs again. I really do. But I think that the American public, many of the people who fell for it the first time, are not going to fall for it again.
But so the way we've described it is, or what we've predicted, they will issue guidelines. They'll do something like you cannot discriminate against someone who decides to quarantine,
Sure.
but no one's forced to quarantine. But then businesses will need money to pay for employees who don't want to come into work and don't have to. Then they'll issue another kind of PPP or whatever. The guidelines, because they know they can't do a hard lockdown, justify an expansion of universal mail-in voting. I wouldn't be surprised if they outright legalize mass ballot harvesting under the guise of COVID.
There's no doubt that that's part of this push. I mean, they definitely want mail-in voting as much as possible. Look, the Democrats are going to do anything they possibly can to win. I just don't think they can do it with Biden. But COVID is not out of the realm of possibility to force this election to be done through mail-in voting.
I don't think that we're not talking in a vacuum right now. Like, millions of people are listening to us, and if we make enough noise ahead of time and shock people out of the stupor,
Yes.
they won't even
to.
get off the ground.
We have
Agreed.
to. I spent two full years rallying against this stuff on my smaller podcast, and you definitely the big podcasters, the big shows have got to push this, mass.
It was, I think, Scott
non-compliance.
Adams. Scott Adams said the first company to do this, we must bankrupt.
Yes, absolutely.
Stop buying all their products
Yes.
and Bud Light and target them in the exact same way.
I read that Vanguard and BlackRock are getting out of ESG. They're down to like 3%.
Yeah, but that just means that they're looking for another thing to call
They're
it.
finding something else. Yeah,
The-
absolutely.
Oh, interesting.
They're not going to give up on the goal.
No.
Right. So, and that's something that people on the right and people that are involved in whatever you want to call it, the culture war or whatever, need to understand. Like, even if like BlackRock and Vanguard and all these investment bankers and stuff, they get out of the ESG model, they're going to be looking for something else to achieve the same goals because they're ideologically motivated.
Well, you made a good point there with the fact that they're not gonna change the goal. The goal is always going to stay the same, and that's what worries me about the Russia thing. Right? Is that if COVID doesn't work, there's a damn good chance that they use a hot war.
but look,
What do you think is the goal with Russia?
The goal with Russia right now, I think that it's to push them towards the one world government. I mean, if you want to get really deep into Alex Jones territory,
It's not Alex
But
Jones
hold on,
territory.
there are two dominant global factions,
Yeah.
NATO and BRICS.
sure.
What's the idea? We need to crush them because BRICS is our enemy.
No, I don't.
But you're not going to get Russia to fall under NATO influence,
Right.
Because they're
not going to.
They just want Russia to be
Right.
weak.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it may actually just be more so. They're not thinking about it in terms of we must defeat Russia because Russia's the enemy. It's we must reduce BRICS by 7%.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And they
if
are
we
7% of the population. I mean, Russia's like 7%.
What concerns me is the people calling shots are like, and if we reduce the United States power by 20% in order to reduce Russia by 7%, then the Swiss bankers win.
Right.
But we've talked about this though. There's a lot of in my opinion, there's substance to the argument that the established order right now is changing. The whole Thucydides trafficking that we talk about, and it seems to me, and I've heard the argument. I forget where I heard it, but it seems reasonable to me that the goal of the people that are like in the WEF and stuff like that, and the UN and stuff, the goal is to do a soft landing with the United States as China rises. And the intent in this is to keep the whole world out of World War III. But if they can have a soft landing and lower the U.S.'s living standards in a way that doesn't cause too much chaos in the United States, and also at the same time support China so they can raise their level of influence and stuff and manage that without having the U.S. and China go to war, that I think is the goal. Because the Chinese model, in my opinion, is what the people like the WEF and stuff was what they want to institute in the West, because they have essentially ultimate control over the population. And that's,
have you guys seen that Eugenia Cooney video? Mm-mm. She's the social media influencer who weighs probably 13 pounds.
Oh,
literally
yes,
maybe like 40 pounds.
Yeah.
and like on the verge of death, anorexic.
Right.
And she's apparently got like 8 million hits on TikTok. People are begging her to get help and all of that stuff. But it reminds me of what the war actually is. Right now, you have influence from China to destroy the younger generations in this country. These kids, I saw one story already. Someone said that their younger sibling stopped eating because they wanted to look like Eugenia.
It's the opium war, except they're not using actual physical opium. They're using technology.
No, they are, though. I mean, that's coming to the southern border, so that's happening too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Does China want to destroy America? You think that China wants to destroy America, or they just want to weaken it so they can have 10% more power in the
Right.
Pacific?
I think right now what the global powers are looking at is, I just want them to be weaker than us, so we have the dominant position. It's almost like a sumo match, right? But it could eventually lead to a fist fight. And it seems like that's where we're going. Now, as for Tucker Carlson predicting hot war with Russia, I think it's funny because if you actually talked to him about it and said, right, but we're at war with Russia, he'd say, well, yes, of course.
Of course.
And then he'd expand upon the idea being the U.S. will formally declare war, or they'll find a reason to do it. And it's going to be some kind of false flag.
Not with Congress, though.
Oh, of course not. It's going to be unilateral.
Action.
It's going to be unilateral. It's going to be a NATO Article 5.
Sure. So false flag. This is what they did in Vietnam. They did a false flag to get us to go to Vietnam to fight a proxy war against Russia.
Right.
So you're thinking now they're going to do a false flag to get us go fight the mainland Russia, like, we're going to invade Russia kind of thing?
I know. There's the idea of the United States putting boots into like Russia. No.
What about
not
on Alaska?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's what is it, like 100 miles away from Russia?
No, there's nothing
even
up there.
50 miles or
There's
something?
nothing
The
strategic up
Aleutian,
there.
Beachheads.
the Aleutian Islands stretch all the way, like very, very close to Japan.
But think about what you're talking about though. Like if Russia invades Alaska, right? They have to go over the Rockies to get to mainland, to the lower 48. Or
They have to invade Canada.
Yeah, they have to go through Canada and they have to go over. Like this is not.
Dude, they're going to be
easy.
slipping on maple syrup.
Yeah, I mean,
Getting frozen in the ice.
And listen, I've traveled through the Rockies out there. You blow up passes and you shut down any advance.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't drive tanks and stuff like that through the mountains without roads. And that's just not happening.
Could they take the
Fallout.
coast?
It is not happening like that.
Fallout 3.
On the flip side,
China
it's hard
invades
there.
Alaska for resources.
You can take all of Alaska.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
how many people are in Alaska?
there's like 250,000 in the state, I think.
We'd have no choice but to respond with a maximum military force.
Oh yeah,
if Russia
the
or
nukes
China
would fly
did
if there's an
anything.
invasion.
I don't think nukes.
There's
would
no
fly.
waiting around.
I
You
do not-
decimate the opponent in that situation. They do not invade.
I think let's get specific. In the event that China, Russia, or whatever these BRICS powers invade Alaska, that's a long shot for a variety of reasons. But in the event they do, I do not believe that ICBM nuclear weapons will be launched over that. However, don't be surprised if you see nuclear artillery.
Yeah, to be honest with you, like not that the idea of anyone invading Alaska is more compelling now that we're discussing it, but if there were a situation like that, Alaska is the type of place where using tactical nuclear weapons would make sense. There's nobody around.
Very small population.
Yeah, there's nobody around, and if you see a column moving, take them out.
I meant offensive, like counter-offense, tactical nuclear weapons, like on Russian cities. If the Russians invade the United States, they beg for death.
Well, but
Those
hold
are
on.
not tactical, those are strategic.
This is the problem with nukes. The Russian government attacks, so your response is to vaporize 1 million innocent civilians. Right? We can't do that, and that's why I don't think the nukes go flying. This idea that in the event of war we all start firing nukes at our cities is just like they're trying to control the cities. They're trying to control resources. Nobody wants to. I would say for the most part, most people don't want to rule over the ashes, but they don't want to be subjugated either. The only reason you would see nukes fly is to destroy military targets. So you may see New York in some way devastated by a massive nuclear attack or some kind of advanced attack. I believe it's more likely at this point civilian targets will be hit by massive cyber attacks. Yeah. What we saw with the ransomware, where you have like the train system, the whole network goes down because all of the computers get encrypted instantly.
The pipeline.
The pipeline.
How did they take out
exactly.
How did they take out Nord Stream?
That
Who took out Nord Stream?
Yeah, exactly. They.
Navy SEALs.
Who is
No,
they,
not
though?
they. Not that
the
they.
CIA. How did U.S. intelligence and Western powers take out Nord Stream
just like
and then blame it
a lot
on
of
Russia?
Conventional explosives.
A
They
lot
use
of explosives.
nanothermite stuff like that.
A lot of explosives. It, like I get. Apparently the.
It's not that hard.
The pipeline is like encased in like it's not just like a tube. Like it's a big deal.
Right.
So there's a lot of.
Look, you don't.
It's underwater. You blow it up.
Yeah, you don't need a nuclear bomb to blow up a pipe, right? But what I think we'd be more likely to see is, Kellen mentioned it. There was that cyber attack on that pipeline, and that basically shut down gas supply in the southeast. And people don't remember that. It's kind of like, that could be war, and you would not know. The risk is, in the past, Gulf of Tonkin, Vietnam, the U.S. wanted the American people to think we were attacked to justify public support for a war.
Right.
Today, there's good reason not to get forced into a war because you want to be prepared for one. And if you're not, you don't want your economy disrupted. So the U.S. is not going to come out and be like that cyber attack. That was China, because that would mean the people would rally and demand retaliation, which we may not be prepared for. However, that being said, the U.S. government could very easily cyber attack a water plant or a pipeline, disrupt the flow of energy in the Midwest, in Chicago or something. Millions of people are in desperate panic. Water is not pumping out of their, there's no electricity or whatever. And then they say, that was China.
We found Putin's passport.
Well, I like that. I like that line of thinking, because us podcasters and guys who do shows, we're constantly talking about who's our biggest enemy. Who's our biggest? These guys are going to attack. Thermonuclear war. Our biggest enemy's right here, man. You know what I mean? Like the American government can do whatever they want. They could shut off our resources. I mean, it's pretty, it's pretty scary to think about what they could do to us.
We have a correction. John Curry says, Phil, there's over 700,000 people in Alaska.
The chat is upset that
They're mad at you.
I apologize.
Alaska.
I apologize.
Anti-Alaskan, Phil.
They're all on the
I'll
coast.
get the actual number for
You're an
you.
Alaska bigot for
I know,
sure.
right?
Absolutely.
And the thing is, there's a lot of people in the chat that were saying, they're like, no.
736,081 as of 2020. So
awesome.
probably more at this point. Median household income, 77,800.
Yeah, they're not.
That ain't bad.
They're not doing bad. Well, they also they get the oil subsidies.
Yeah, you get
there,
paid
too.
to live
Yeah,
in
but it's only like a
there.
couple grand, I heard.
per month, or
I know a few of them
per
get a couple grand. I thought it was a couple grand a month.
I don't know.
Maybe
Month?
I've been to Alaska
That's
once.
basically the median income.
I've been to Alaska once. Don't take my word for it.
would love to go.
I know that it was. It used to be. It goes up and down. I know that.
Let's bring it back home. You're talking about the enemy's domestic. Well, let's talk about what's happening here in the U.S. We got this story from the Daily Mail. Tucker Carlson claims Barack Obama enjoyed smoking crack and having gay sex.
If I
that
understand
nobody
correctly.
reported ahead of the 2008 election.
did he actually claim it, or did he say maybe this is?
No, he said outright yes.
How does he know?
He said that
Because-
the campaign would remove anybody who brought it up in 2008. Even
Because he said a guy came forward, Larry Sinclair, and said, I'll sign an affidavit, and he did. I'll do a lie detector, and he did. He said that he smoked crack with Barack Obama and they had sex. That was obviously true. Carlson was referencing the claims made by a convicted felon, Sinclair, at the National Press Club in 2008 while Obama was running for president. He said nobody reported on it due to threats from the Obama campaign. Quote, nobody reported it not because they were squeamish about sex or drugs, but because the Obama campaign said anyone who reports on this gets no access to the Obama campaign. So they didn't report on it. The amount of lying in the media about it was unbelievable. This happens all the time up and down government. Sinclair, who has spent time in prison for forgery, fraud, and larceny, alleged that Obama, who was then a senator, bought and smoked cocaine, I think it was crack, before having sex with him. Well, I will add that Obama has not particularly good taste in men, if that's true.
Is the guy ugly?
Well, I mean,
and he has good taste in women.
well, look, I mean,
Hell yeah.
I got to be honest. Like, if you put Michelle Obama next to this guy,
She's got beautiful eyes.
She'll look like a
but
steak,
let's
yeah.
be real. I mean, this guy's 54 now, and he was a lot younger back then. But let's be serious. There was that letter. They actually have it. They have something here on the story. Look at this. I don't know what this is. They say former President Barack Obama's gay sex fantasy was revealed in a newly obtained 1982 letter to his ex-girlfriend. So we know in 1982.
Yeah, he was 21, I think.
He was writing about how he wanted to bang dudes. And hey, more power to him, man.
Yeah.
I just think it's historically significant if we can say that Barack Obama, not only the first black president or not entirely white president, was also a gay man who smoked crack.
One more reason to give the guy grief. He was the first LGBT president
Yeah.
and didn't even have the cojones to admit it.
Don't be big.
And
don't
he
be a bigot.
lied. He lied when he was running. He was against gay marriage when he was running. He
was,
and then he came out once he got elected. So he lies to get elected, hides the fact that he's LGBT, and then he comes out. Oh God, more reason to hate on him. Thanks, Obama.
I don't think Tucker's lying, but I don't think that taking the word of a fraudster, this guy's a convicted for fraud, and he's the one that's saying that he had sex with Barack. It's witness testimony. It's one guy's testimony. So why would Tucker make the claim that it's true? Just
But
because of
Ian,
a
he
lie
passed
detector.
the lie detector
Yeah,
test.
exactly. Not admissible in court. Yet Tucker claims it's true
Because the guy's
because it makes good headlines.
Tucker's saying Tucker's reporting what he heard.
Well, he could have
may
said that a guy told him, but instead he came out and said it's true.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't. Did he actually say it's true? So I
what
mean,
the
maybe,
headline
maybe,
says.
maybe
This could confirm the Big Mike rumors, though.
Yeah.
This
I don't know if that. I don't know if that.
Lie detectors can be admissible as long as both parties agree to them.
Oh, cool.
The issue is more so that someone will contest it. So they're generally not used.
But even still, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like the people that don't like Barack Obama, this is only going to be stuff for them to go ahead and make jokes about. The people that like Barack Obama, they're not going to care. It doesn't matter.
What if-
we know that he would lie about his policies to get elected. I mean we already know what kind of person he is. He's already in and out of office.
He's already killed children.
That's the thing. If
bomb
you really
every 5
want to
minutes.
stay focused on what he's done wrong, I feel like this is a red herring.
There's no reason. Well, nobody's focusing on what he's done wrong. There's absolutely no appetite to bring him up on charges for anything. So there's no point even talking about what he's done wrong, other than being like, "Hey, don't forget."
If news does come out for some reason that sticks, and it's like Barack Obama killed American citizen, nobody cares. But let's say for some reason the story does pop, whatever. A new one comes out that Obama issued another drone strike. Obama would come out, and all the news would be like, Obama's about to give a press conference. Oh, I wonder if it's about the allegations and the drones. And he's going to go, my fellow Americans, I'm gay. And then that's it. And then everyone's
Crowd
like,
goes
"What?"
wild.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's the thing for me. It's like it's funny, if you want him to make jokes about it or whatever, like poke fun at it to make light of it, but it's not substantially. It doesn't matter.
It's fun on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. It's a funny.
internet.
It's a funny meme.
It's fun on the internet, and we were talking about this before. Listen, if you're involved in politics but you're not taking part in the culture war, you're dead in the water, right? We talked about that on the way here. Every single candidate for anything, Pete Buttigieg, anybody who's got some kind of diverse identity of any sort is going to put that at the very forefront to deflect them from all of their bad policies. And Obama would just do that. He'd write another memoir, and everybody would go buy it and forget all about it. So
I don't know, but I do think things are changing, right? That's statistic about
I have
12th
7
grade
kids.
12th grade boys being or males, they're adults, skewing conservative.
Yeah.
I actually, as you mentioned, if you're not in the culture where you're not in politics,
Exactly.
Yeah, I think we're at heavy market saturation for politics. It's becoming pop culture.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this a couple of years ago. Politics is pop culture. That's why you get people who have no business in politics doing political podcasts. This is why you have late night comedy. It's nothing but politics.
Right.
There's no one cares about anything else.
Speaking of, did you see the big five late night hosts? That's Seth,
Strike Force 5.
dude, they're doing a Twitter show together, and it looks so lame.
Oh, I
It
know.
looks lame. It is lame.
Seth, what's his name? Seth something?
Myers.
Looked so miserable in that promo. Like
saw-
he couldn't even say it with feeling.
I saw the clip, and now I have to start chemo on Wednesday.
And then this got Jimmy and
Jimmy
all.
Fallon looks so annoyed with Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
Like those guys do not want to be in the same room together. He's like, oh my God, I'm stuck. But they're getting paid $100 million bucks a night or
they're
whatever.
under contract, and the studios were like,
You're doing this.
We know how to make money and generate content while there's no writers. You're doing the
And
podcast.
they made Stephen Colbert be like the ringleader, and the other guys are like, who is this dip? Like, I'm not bowing down to this guy. Why is he the one ringleading this crap?
Yeah.
It's really annoying. I feel for those rich dudes.
I think it's breaking apart.
I hope so.
I mean,
that's-
Joe Rogan being the biggest podcast is and for a long time
and
now.
by a long shot too.
Right.
I mean, a long ways. I mean, he's got what, twice the daily viewership as CNN. I mean, it's a
long
lot.
form one-on-one
Yes.
is the most awesome
Agreed.
possible format.
Yeah.
You might be bringing in other people too is cool, but any disruption of a vibe sucks if you're really in the zone.
Tucker proved it. I mean, he went free agent, and he's getting more views than Fox has ever got ever.
You learn so much
Yeah,
about somebody.
And let's be real, right? So everyone's talking about this 200 million views or whatever. Those are tweet views.
Impressions.
Yeah.
I don't like the word impression because typically an impression implies like when you're scrolling through an article and there's something on the left of the screen you don't pay attention to.
Right.
A tweet view passes by you and you look at it as it passes you by. So I'm not trying to defend, impressions or whatever. I'm just trying to point out there is a subtle difference. If I'm scrolling my Twitter feed and I'm actually looking at things and then not interested, it's very different to an ad was on the left of my screen. I never even noticed.
Do you know how
That's an
long
impression.
it needs to remain on your screen as you're scrolling to count?
It might be a couple seconds.
That would be in the code.
I think it's 3 seconds.
Okay, it's different on different sites.
I'm not entirely sure. But what we do know is if you actually look at the hard numbers, which are available on some devices, it was around like 20 million views.
Sure.
And you look at his ratings on Fox. They come on like, Tucker did not get 200 million views. He got 20. And I'm like, wow, when he was on Fox, he was getting 3.
Right.
So now he's getting 17 more? Okay. You look at all the shows he's doing, he actually is getting several million hits per episode.
Yeah.
Now, I mean,
I'm sure he's getting a lot more, especially with the President Trump interview, way more than he ever got on Fox. I mean, it can't be even close.
well, he had like 5 point something was his record, on Fox.
on Fox,
And
yeah.
with the Trump thing, it was like 20.
Yeah.
It was, I think when they reported it was around like 18. So it's got to be 20 to 25 by now.
Well, and I could say
of actual like people sitting down and watching through the video.
listen, this is as a candidate for president. I am not. I'm not out seeking the legacy like corporate news media. I'm seeking the big podcasters. Right. That's who I want. That's who I want to go to. When you have candidates for the office of the entire United States executive branch that are seeking out podcasts instead of the corporate news media, the corporate news media is dead. That's it.
Dude, this is what Vivek's
Give it 10
plan
years.
has been too.
Rachel Maddow's audience, elderly.
Right.
And even Fox News audience, they're a lot older. Tucker, here's the biggest screw up that Fox did. Tucker actually was attracting younger viewers.
Yes.
He was getting key demo viewers. You look at these other guys, and they're skewing way older, and that's it. They walked away from all of it.
Yeah. What do they got left? Greg Gutfeld? Is he? That's about.
I mean,
it.
Gutfeld's cool.
Yeah.
He's doing well.
He
And
gets
good
a
for him.
younger crowd. I think.
Jesse Waters took over for Tucker, but everybody just despises Fox News.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at who was it? Was it Neil Cavuto talking to Vivek Ramaswamy, trying to justify the indictments against Trump, and it's just laughably bad. And Vivek is like, "No, are you nuts?" He's like, "Well, there's all of these indictments. I mean, one of them has to be real." And it's like, "Are you kidding me?" Fox is terrible, but to be honest, Cavuto is never like their best personality anyway.
Right. I haven't watched Fox other than Tucker, Gutfeld, and Kennedy. I haven't watched Fox in probably 10 years.
Kennedy's awesome.
Yeah.
I used to watch her on MTV, man.
So did I.
That girl was awesome.
Yeah. Plus, she'd have Dave on.
Yes.
Dave was like a regular on.
And Spike. Spike's been on there several times too.
I mean,
Olivia
that's
Rondeau goes on.
Yeah, Olivia Rondeau. There's a lot of people that I know from the conservative circle that goes on there quite a
Dude,
bit.
what's your plan, man? Your presidential plan?
So we actually have a whole website, has all our platforms up there.
Abolish things.
Yeah. So I've talked about, much like Vivek, who I think may have stolen one of my platform points, by the way. I'm pretty sure that he stole one for the debate. I had never heard a presidential candidate talk about how the federal government subsidizes separating families and states until he spoke about it on the debate. But I do want to abolish Title 4D of the Social Security Act, which is an incentive from the federal government. They give $3 for every $2 spent on child support and enforcement programs in every state. So they're incentivizing the state to create a visitor out of one parent and a custodian parent out of the other parent. And then if this parent has any issues, they criminalize them and take more. So we're talking $3 for every $2 given. That's what they do. And if you look since 1975, when Ford signed this into law, if you look since then, the amount of fatherless homes has increased tenfold. I mean, insane amount. And 1 in 4 kids lives in a fatherless home now.
Let's talk politics.
Yeah,
We're
sorry.
talking
Yeah,
about we've been talking about enemies, both foreign and domestic, and we have this story. Donald Trump tells Glenn Beck, "You have no choice. He will absolutely lock people up if returned to the White House." He didn't say it with much enthusiasm, but here's the clip for all of you. And
lock her up. And then when you became president, you said, we don't do that in America. That's just not the right thing to do. That's what they're doing. Do you regret not locking her up? And if you're president again, will you lock people up?
Well, I'll give you an example. The answer is you have no choice because they're doing it to us. I always had such great respect for the office of the president, the presidency, but the office of the president, and I never hit Biden as hard as I could have. And then I heard he was trying to indict me, and it was him that was doing it. You know, I don't think he's sharp enough to think about much, but he was there, and he was probably the one giving the order.
Even
but
Glenn Beck's laughing.
he was, hard to believe that he even thinks about that because he's gone. But then I said, well, they're actually trying to indict me because every one of these indictments is him, including Bragg. Bragg put his.
So we get it. He says he's going to lock people up. What I want to add to this is Rachel Maddow recently said that Donald Trump is only running because he wants to solve his legal problems. But that's actually Joe Biden.
Right.
And now that Joe Biden is president, he's probably saying, all I can do is either win re-election or lock Trump up. But if Trump wins, I'm going down. And of course, you have to accuse your opponents of doing what you, in fact, are doing. So Rachel Maddow comes out, blames Trump, says he wants to be president for life. I guess the question is, one, do you really think Trump will do this? And then after we answer that, my question for you, Joshua, is are you also going to lock people up?
Yeah, I definitely want to investigate the COVID regime and
Fauci?
Fauci, Safer, any governors
You
that
say yes.
Who's
Because
yes.
I feel like saying just the COVID regime doesn't go far enough.
Yes.
Go far enough. Oh,
Not
Phil's
nearly far.
There's definitely people that need to be locked up.
Don't let them turn you to the dark side.
Yes. No, they won't.
no. The light is trying to save.
There is
and get rid of these
nothing.
criminals.
There is nothing
Divine fire.
There is nothing illiberal about enforcing the law.
It depends on the law.
Yeah, it depends on the law for sure.
No, because if you have a liberal society, especially a society like ours that protects the people, protects rights, your laws should not be violating people's rights, not without due process. So if you've got someone that has been using the government, the federal government, to enrich their own family, there's nothing immoral about enforcing the law or investigating it. Earlier today, I tweeted, there's currently an amount of circumstantial evidence Joe Biden is engaged in pay for influence in Ukraine via his son. The president of the United States, Donald Trump, was impeached by the Democrats for investigating this. That's actually what happened. There is no reason why we shouldn't investigate the entire Biden administration, the whole administration, his family. All of his business associates.
They know it.
Who's gonna force that investigation though?
Well, I mean, I'm saying that would be if Trump were to be elected.
Here's the big question: do you actually think Trump is going to do anything?
It's not. I don't think it's a matter of whether or not Trump will want to. I think it's a matter of whether Trump will be able to successfully execute, because it's a matter of, can he find people in government that could fulfill the roles, that are competent, that will be able to get into positions in the bureaucracy and actually investigate and prosecute. Will they be able, because that they're going to be people in FBI and CIA and stuff like that are going to be doing all they can to hide stuff. So it's a matter of, will he be able to get people that are effective? Will he want to? I think he'll want to. Will he execute? Who knows?
This is we just heard that Enrique Tarrio's sentencing was delayed because the judge fell ill. It was an emergency. And they're trying to lock up Enrique and other members of the Proud Boys for 33 years.
Ridiculous.
Donald Trump gets elected. These men are pardoned. They're
should be.
I believe Trump pardons them.
Everybody on January 6th, even the people that were getting into fights with cops, they've already done their time. They've already done enough time.
Now consider this.
Let them go.
If we are talking about civil war, everybody drink.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
You have these individuals being accused and convicted of seditious conspiracy. Quite literally, they were accused of a plot to overthrow the United States in support of Donald Trump. The argument being brought forward by the Democrats is that Trump was their leader who actually wanted them and encouraged them to do this. If Trump gets elected, how will the view of the left not be? Donald Trump succeeded in overthrowing the United States government.
That will be the narrative. It will be shoved down people's throat, and every single wine mom is going to buy it.
So how could any of these liberals or leftists argue we are not in a civil war if they believe that Proud Boys were engaged in a seditious conspiracy at the direction of Donald Trump to overthrow the United States, and Donald Trump still has a path to gain power? In fact, they believe he currently is likely to win.
I think that will be the narrative. I mean, there's no doubt about it. That's going to be the narrative everyone runs with, especially if he wins. Do you honestly think that he will pardon Enrique though?
Yes,
you do.
I'm not saying it's 100%.
Sure.
But I think we've already got I'm not your buddy guy in the super chat saying Robert Barnes for AG. I'm wondering if Trump plays the tepid role and just wins and goes, we got to slow down, blah, blah, blah. Or does Trump go in and say, at this point, I am done. And then Robert Barnes, he starts bringing in diehard Trump supporters to do these jobs who will do it without question. Because he did not do that the first time. He went to his donors, he went to the establishment and said, who do you think would be good? Let's play ball. And then they tried to destroy him. And he walked the line. You've got these false charges, these accusations of being a Russian spy. You've got he tries to dig into the Ukraine scandal and they impeach him over it. And what does he do? Nothing.
Right.
So I'm not entirely convinced, but I do think there's a possibility that if Trump is elected, it's revenge. And then you'll see MAGA personalities. I mean, look at Jeffrey Clark, acting assistant attorney general, and they've criminally indicted him. Mm-hmm. If Trump brings that guy back, I imagine he's going to be like, I can't imagine, because we've had Jeffrey Clark here. Right. I can't imagine he's the kind of guy who's going to be like, I want revenge. No, he's going to be the guy who says, yo, these people are corrupt, and if we're going to save this country, they must be criminally charged.
Right.
Joshua, I have a question. How many and what departments would you abolish?
Oh, we don't
Cabinet level.
Hold on, wait.
There's not enough time on the show.
No. It's easier to ask which departments.
Which ones would you leave? Thank you. I appreciate that, Tim. Which ones would you leave?
I can't even think of any right now. I know that we're going after the ATF first. I believe 100%. And Vivek talked a lot about this. That you can't actually. The president doesn't actually have the power to go in and abolish some of these things like on his own.
No, but Vivek mentioned like
mass layoffs.
It's not about layoffs. It's about organizational.
The RFI as well, where you can transfer out and stuff like that.
It's like when you're a boss at a company and you can't fire someone, so you put them in the janitor's closet and hope they quit.
My goal is to get rid of everybody at the ATF and then level the ATF building and turn it into a dog park. I'd auction off all the leftover ATF equipment.
No.
So
I absolutely.
So that we can pay reparations to people who had to unconstitutionally buy NFA tax stamps.
I am offended by this notion. I reject this notion. The ATF building should be turned into large gun super malls.
That would be good too. Yes, that's we can do both with the different buildings. But I think in honor of all the dogs murdered,
I know so.
Right.
I have a friendly relationship with the people at Brownells, and I wonder if they want a new location in Washington D.C.
And Martinsburg.
Yes,
yeah. Oh, there you go.
Apparently they're up there too.
Absolutely. No, I can't think of many.
I can't think of an agency that I'd keep
right now. No.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm like, there's got to be one.
I had a really good conversation with Austin Peterson the other day.
We do have to keep the DOJ. I think we have to keep the DOJ.
Well, I had a good conversation about the CIA.
I know, but maybe the Department of Transportation.
Department of Energy is the one I'm thinking of.
Cars.
Yeah,
all
but
those states can do that.
But if we're trying to manage interstate rail and freight and stuff, it might make sense. I mean, I'm not saying it does to have some kind of organizing body so it's easier for California to adjudicate, between other states if like Wyoming has got an issue and then. I guess the courts could handle that.
Well, I know the IRS is gone right away.
First one out the door.
And I would like to abolish the income tax entirely. That includes estate tax, payroll tax, and capital gains tax.
How do people not vote for this?
And then I want to institute what's user fees, which is what the federal government always should have been.
User fees.
User fees.
Yeah. How does that work?
If you're an American paying the federal government, and you don't need anything from the federal government. There's no reason you should be paying the federal government. Period. Plain and simple.
So, like, what if you want to drive on an interstate highway? Toll?
So if there's a maybe we go to some kind of toll system too. But there's already a lot of toll booths for a lot of different interstates around the country. But user fees, and it would be a while.
There's already a gas tax. Like people forget that the tax in your gas. Taxes. There's a federal tax in every gallon of gas that is sold, and the reason that there's a federal tax, what sold people on it was the tax is going to be used to pay for the highways. Right. So you've got the federal government taxing every gallon of gas. They have plenty of money.
But that's all going to pet projects, though. That's not going to going to the city. But that's the problem is that all these bills are packed with pork, and they're paying for pet projects. I mean, it comes out of Social Security, it comes out of the gas tax, it comes out of everything.
The point is, we don't need to have an income tax for a lot of the things that people think we need the income tax for. And also, our government works with a modern monetary policy basic theory. So they don't really care about collecting taxes to pay for anything. If they want something, they print the money to make it, and then they just collect taxes to reduce inflation.
Just really quickly to add your point, and I don't know how many people watching know this, but prior to the National Tax Act and even the 16th Amendment, there was still a government that operated before they stole your money from
that's not true.
Straight from your paycheck. Yeah, absolutely. And
That's just a story they tell kids to scare them.
if you want national defense or whatever, I mean, listen, any patriotic American that likes their national defense system, if you told them we're not going to take your payroll taxes anymore, but would you be willing to voluntarily crowdfund our national military with $10 a month? I guarantee you there's millions of people that are going to pay for that every single month.
I got an idea. We talked about this with Vivek. If you want to vote, you have to sign up for the draft.
That's there's a lot of theories like that. Sign up for the draft. There's also if you want to vote, you should be a property owner, a landowner. I don't know if you've heard that one floating around.
Yeah, I don't agree with that because we're in an era of renting, which didn't exist back in the day. It made sense back in the day. It's like, hey, if you live here, you can vote on what we're doing. Right. But if you don't live here, why are you voting on what we're doing? You don't live here. Now it's like, well, I do live here. I rent a room upstairs.
I'm anti-draft, so I don't think that conscription is a good thing.
So let me ask you though, if let's say that the all these apartments are abolished. You get elected president. You walk in. You start signing executive orders so fast. Your right arm is just massive and ripped.
We're going to, yeah.
And you've signed like 10,000 documents. You're drenched in sweat. The rest of your body is disheveled and falling apart.
So like Joe Biden at a normal speaking,
curling with your left arm while you're signing. With your right.
All of that, a libertarian utopia exists, and then China invades California with a massive force of 300,000 troops, and they start just gunning down and massacring people. And at that point, do you say, we need a draft, we need to get people to come and fight?
No, so I wouldn't, listen, if you people were wild enough to actually put me in the White House, okay, let's say that first. Okay, as a libertarian, if you guys are crazy enough to put me in the White House right now, I appreciate it. I'm gonna do all the work I possibly can to make sure that people have more freedoms every day. I'm not in any place to immediately cut the military. That's just crazy. Bringing troops home, stopping wars abroad, closing down some bases that we don't need around the world, I think that's an important step. And then a more aggressive mental health care policy for our vets that are coming home from abroad that need to reintegrate in with their wives and families and stuff, because we haven't taken care of our veterans in this country at all. I am a veteran. But it's not like I'm going to come in on day one and be like, that's it. All military's done. You're all going home.
I'm just saying, in the hypothetical scenario,
you're talking about an anarchist society.
No, I'm just saying in the hypothetical scenario that the United States is directly invaded and we have multiple forces storming our beaches and taking over our cities, you still oppose conscription?
Yes, I would oppose conscription, and in fact, I think that our citizens are going to do what the military would do on their own for their own home.
You think they'd volunteer?
I think they're going to take up arms. I mean, we have more guns here in the United States. That's why no one's ever really invaded the United States. There's more guns here.
That, but also the United States is real damn big to invade.
Yeah, it's hard.
You look at
like crossing the mountains would be insane.
It'd be harder than Afghanistan for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I was saying earlier, like getting through the mountain ranges in the West Coast. Like people talk about, China invading, blah blah blah. The Rockies will shut down and advance like
hands down.
Nothing.
Appalachia.
Appalachia would too. I mean, like the U.S. has.
Could you imagine
really
like
defendable,
the Great Lakes too?
Russia or China invading, and they're trying to move westward through Appalachia, and there's a bunch of
they're done
right-wing nut jobs with Barrett M82s up on a mountain, just
picking them off one by one.
If you don't, well, I don't know if you would need to institute a draft to defend, but if there's no military command overseeing the logistics, then it would just be disparate factions.
I don't think we're going to get
literally the best option if you're trying to defend. That's exactly what the Taliban does. They don't have a centralized thing to defend.
The Taliban got whipped around for 2 decades.
And then they took over in 2 seconds.
You're not you're not talking about individual engagements. Individual engagements, the Taliban lose. Individual engagements, the Vietnamese lost. But because of the policy goal that the governments had, they were unattainable. So even the individual battles and engagements they lose, they're never going to achieve the policy goals, which is why rifles and a determined enemy will always beat an invading army.
And I will say to look up the Afghanistan papers if you haven't. I'm sure your crowd already knows about that. But the government knew that was an unwinnable war in Afghanistan, 100%, even at the very beginning.
But what they had to do to defend was the Taliban was living in caves and the Vietnamese were living underground, literally in tunnels for 10 years. They lived in tunnels.
And what do you
think
say?
that people in Appalachia are going to do that?
Yes.
If you invade,
they're
where are
doing
you
that now.
going to go?
I think they would prefer that
What's
having
the option?
the Marines.
What's the option?
It's our backyard.
The option is you draft your
invasion.
neighbors and you get organized with the military.
It's an invasion.
I'm not forcing anybody to fight a war. There's no
A defensive war. I mean, that's what the draft is
People
for.
are going to fight it anyways here in the United States.
If
There's
they
no doubt.
invade and they take a beachhead and they take land, they're all the federal government is already strapped. If a foreign government, a foreign military actually manages to establish a beachhead and have the beginning of an infrastructure to take mainland United States, the government has to be in shambles by then anyways.
Let me
for
ask-
that to even become a
I
possibility.
disagree.
You don't think the federal government
Southern border.
No, well, that's by design.
I'm
not landing craft.
I'm not
I'm
saying-
talking about landing craft. I'm talking
not
about
saying
big army
that
invasion.
it is a beachhead. I'm saying the federal government is incapable of dealing with. Perhaps it is by design. But I don't think. I think people overestimate the capabilities of the United States. I absolutely do. There are people who have been saying over and over again for years, the federal government won't allow this, they won't allow that. It's like how many federal law enforcement officers and how many people you think are in the military?
The military is somewhere around.
I'll tell you this: if I was a tyrant
Right.
and I was running this country as a tyrant, and I wanted to weaken this country to make it submit, one of the things I would do is I would send all of my troops to over 200 bases around the country.
In the world,
yeah, 200 bases around the world, and make it very easy to invade this country. Do you think if we started bringing our troops home, you'd be as worried about us having a war here in the United States?
I'd be less worried if our troops were at home.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
So bringing them home is the important and good and righteous thing, in my opinion.
There is the argument of staging offensive operations to prevent an attack.
The United States.
I just want to stress, I really love the idea of imagining what would it be like if a foreign invader came to Appalachia.
I do it all the time. It's so fun.
It's so fun to imagine because
yeah.
when you go up to there's various mountains over here, and we know all the people who live on these mountains, and they lovingly call themselves right-wing nut jobs.
Yes.
And then they have like guns everywhere. And I'm just saying, there'll be a guy up on a mountain with his Barrett, and he's going to be like, just waiting. And it's like, do you want to? No one's coming. It's like, I want to be here in case they do.
I think the age of ground invasion is kind of not really over, but like World War II, they had to drop nukes on Japan because they knew a ground invasion of the island would have been 1 million dead Americans. Like, you can't fight an entrenched force.
No.
It'd be insane for them to send ground invasion in the United States. It'd all be drone warfare.
Right.
It would
drone swarms and stuff.
So here's the first thing you get. You'd get cyber attacks, which would cut off your infrastructure.
Ian 20.
You'd lose gasoline, oil, electricity goes out. Then you'll get strategic drone strikes. After the infrastructure is just ripped to shreds, then you get the ground forces coming in to secure the territory. You cannot occupy a street corner with a drone. Yeah. So after they decimate any kind of infrastructure, I mean, really, people need to consider what it means if our oil pipelines get shut down.
That's another thing people don't realize. That there's only a handful of places that actually refine oil. So like Jersey, right outside of New York City, New Orleans, and I believe in LA. Those are the 3 places that you can import oil into the U.S. And if I understand correctly, and I could be wrong, but if I understand correctly, that's it. You take out those cities or those refineries, and the U.S. oil production, I believe, comes close to a standstill. Is significantly hurt.
Rachel Maddow had that famous line where she's like, "Russia could shut off your electricity in the winter with a cyber attack." It's like, well, what they'd probably do is they'd probably just destroy the North Dakota frack fields.
Yeah.
Large amounts of energy produced in these areas, fossil fuels. They'd shut that down.
They'd have to come through Canada to get there.
No, they wouldn't. They'd go on their computer in Russia and type a few lines of code and hit enter, and it goes down. Now, that is whether or not you believe that we have defensive capabilities in our infrastructure. Right. 10 years ago, we did not. We were running industrial control systems from the 70s. And of course, I guess the prevailing theory, or one of them, was that every major world power had already gained a death grip on the cyber infrastructure of every other country. And at any minute, mutually assured destruction at that point was, We press enter and your electricity goes out and it's not coming back. And then the response was, yeah, we'll do the same to you because we have off-network machines that are capable of shutting you down. Mutually assured destruction, everyone thinks is nukes flying. At this point, it's a guy pressing enter. And look at Stuxnet. Remember that?
Yeah.
That was 10 years ago.
Iranian.
Amazing. Yeah. They were like, release the virus and let it go into the wild and eventually find its way to the Iranian centrifuges and blow them up.
They don't even need to do anything on U.S. soil, whether cyber attack or invasion. Canals, the Suez and Panama. We're already seeing the impacts of the Panama backup. Imagine, like, we rely on all of our products, all of our lives are through China. So what if they stop all transportation coming from that way? You know, so I'm not even worried about the U.S.
People,
you know,
it's a really good argument for making more things in America, by the way.
Absolutely. Yeah. But people really don't understand and haven't taken into consideration what would happen during a war. And we have not even ever scratched the surface on what would happen. You know, we were talking about civil war the other night, and I forgot who the guest was. They said peaceful divorce, which I said is absolutely impossible.
Divorce.
Yeah. National divorce, impossible. But peaceful divorce. It's like a peaceful, impossible because of resource war. Because North Dakota is producing energy, because California is reliant on the Colorado River. It flows through Nevada. Nevada could shut it down. Arizona could shut it down. Colorado could shut it down. And then everyone downstream is pulling out guns.
A lot of Chinese were shutting down a river that was going into India. That's a big tension spot between the two countries.
As a national divorce supporter, I also agree with you. I don't think that it would be completely peaceful, but who is going to be the unpeaceful one in that situation?
What do you mean who?
China in a national divorce.
But what do you mean who?
Like the federal government will tell the states they can't leave. Right?
But it's not about states. It's not about states leaving. The idea that civil war is I say this 50 billion times is going to follow the track of 1861 is an absurd notion. Sure. Like one time this thing happened and now everyone's like, that's how all civil wars will always be. Right. No, more likely what will happen is Arizona will say we need to build a reservoir because of the drought impacts we've been having. So we're going to begin construction. Nevada then says, if you do this, you will cut off our water supply for 16 months and we will die. And they'll say, if we don't do this, we will die. And then Nevada says, you are not cutting our water off. And then Arizona says, try us. There you go. The question is whether or not the federal government can be stretched so thin. People overestimate the power of the U.S. U.S. federal law enforcement and of the military. If we are engaged in conflict on our border or internationally, and we actively are with U.S. troops being sent to Europe, and confidence is lost in the federal government for a variety of reasons. All that needs to happen is not that a state secedes, but that a state has a problem that cannot be adjudicated properly, and there is no federal law enforcement to come and prevent violence from erupting. I don't know if that can happen or when it could happen or whatever. I'm saying in the event that a national divorce happens, it doesn't have to be that Nevada files a declaration of secession. It can be that Nevada just says, guys, we're losing water. And the Biden administration has not responded to us. They've told us they're strapped and they can't send law enforcement. We're on our own now. And then you get interstate conflict.
I'm wondering from your perspective, Josh, like the issue I have with libertarianism, I feel like it doesn't jive with the presidency because it's such an authoritarian role. Like you're the military commander. You're supposed, that's your main job is command the military. So like, how would you handle the military in with Taiwan? Or if there wasn't, you said you wouldn't issue a draft, you would just let people like be on their own?
Yeah, I think if you're going to join the military, it should always be on voluntary terms. We should never make anybody a war fighter because we say they have to be a war fighter. I think that goes way against the whole entire identity of consent. And so, yes, I'm definitely against that. Listen, I don't know. I know that since the Nixon era with the Taiwan and China thing, we've kind of had this double fail-safe where we're like, China, don't mess with Taiwan. We may go to war with you. And then with Taiwan, it was kind of like, listen, Taiwan, don't mess with China. We may not protect you. And it's worked since then. But now, obviously, it's not. And I think it's such a weird thing because we have a government that's saying Russia's not allowed to take a rogue province from Ukraine. But on the other hand, China's not allowed to take, I guess I'm mixing that up. They're not allowed to have their rogue province in Taiwan, right? And Ukraine has to get theirs back or whatever, even though they're mostly ethnic Russians living there. And so I'm not gonna like go and play, civil war around the country with our military. It's not worked out for us. It's not worked out in the Middle East. That for decades and decades and decades. I think it's just it's bad.
I mean, just to defend against an invasion, not
defend against. Yeah, and I'm not at all against national defense. I think we have a much better chance of defending against an invasion if we have our troops at home, because nobody's trying to come here and attack us since 1930s, right? I mean, Pearl Harbor 40s,
and that's still technically very, very far away.
Yeah.
Hawaii is very far.
Yeah.
It was a military operation.
Yeah, it's far away. And it's like when we're talking about Taiwan is 7,000 miles away from here. It's only 90 miles from China. You know what I mean? If we go and have this theater over there by Taiwan, we're going to lose an aircraft carrier maybe. And what's Joe Biden going to do if we lose an aircraft carrier? I mean, it's going to get real ugly real quick.
It feels so much like Ukraine. Like it's just a little piece of land that's right next to their country that we have control of. It's like, dude, what?
Let's jump to this story from NBC News. Secretaries of State get ready for possible challenges to Trump's ballot access. Arizona Secretary of State is the latest to say his office is grappling with the potential effects of a move to block Trump from the ballot. Okay, you got Arizona, you got New Hampshire, you've got Florida, and it's going to keep happening. My friends, if in October of 2024, they announce at least one state, Donald Trump's name has been removed for he is an insurrectionist under the 14th Amendment, do not be surprised. They've indicted him. They've indicted his lawyers. This is not above them. I think at that point, things get bad. But Tucker Carlson was saying that they're not going to let Trump win. They won't do COVID. They'll start war with Russia, which we're already in, but they'll formally declare. Do you think they would be beyond that? It is beyond them to do this, these Democrats? What they're doing now in Arizona is they're going, oh, gee, golly, it's such a hard question. I mean, we want to be fair, but Donald Trump did an insurrection.
Right.
Guess we got to remove his name. And they're talking about taking his name off the primary.
Yes. Yeah.
This is why I think all the Republicans should drop out, because Trump is the clear front runner. And if Arizona or New Hampshire or Florida takes his name off the primary ballot, and this results in, say, Vivek or DeSantis winning, neither of them will win in the general, and it will cause a major rupture and split, giving the election to Joe Biden.
Maybe, but Chuck Todd loves Vivek. I watched that interview. Did you guys see those guys? Chuck really respects that guy. I think he's like, Chuck is terrified of Trump and annoyed with Trump and is like, yo, this guy's actually smart and has a plan and he's interesting to listen to.
I don't get the feeling that people that would be considered mainstream are giving Vivek any serious respect.
They're claiming that he said 9/11 was an inside job.
Yeah, last weekend he was on Chuck Todd. It was pretty cool. Chuck, at first he was a little confrontational, like combative, and then Chuck started to soften up, and you can tell he's got a lot of respect for him. I think. So
what do you think about Trump having his name removed from the ballot?
I think it's definitely not above the Democrats to try and do that. And listen, beneath, yes, sorry. and trust me, as someone who's had to go around the country and fight for ballot access for our candidates for the last 6 years, I mean, it sucks. But yeah, I don't think it's beneath the Democrats. I think they'll definitely try.
What do you think? What do you think happens if, in the general October, they take Trump's name off of, say, Georgia, Wisconsin, and Arizona?
I mean, Trump's not going to win.
But how does this country react? I mean,
I think it's going to be violent.
Yeah,
100%. I think it's going to get violent. You think January 6th will look like a cakewalk? I believe.
What is a cakewalk?
It was a game. It was a game we used to play in elementary school where you would win cakes. Yes, absolutely. Really? Yeah, it was a game we used to play in the. I don't remember how we played it
with blindfolds.
I don't remember. I honestly don't remember, but I know that it was a game where you won cakes. People brought cakes, and then you played this game. And people won
I don't even
cakes.
think violence like that's necessarily the first thing that'll happen. I think if people just start doing massive occupations of places, like that's going to be the scary thing. You're just going to see thousands of souls. Not even necessarily violent or angry, occupying places.
Yeah, I think it'll be really ugly.
It started as get-togethers on slave plantations, where people would have dance contests to win cake.
Oh, cool. Oh.
We played it in school when I was a kid. Oops.
You can't do it now because the school is going to say it's got slave connotations.
The reason I brought up Chuck Todd seeming to enjoy Vivek is because I think this is this is understood. They're going to remove Trump from the ballot. They're going to stop. I mean, Trump's.
And they're going to try.
They've already decided he's not going to be the president. We have a deep state. Get it through your head. And they're trying to soften Vivek on the people right now so that they're not so upset and they have someone to vote for.
I don't trust.
Vivek
I don't
can't
trust
win.
Vivek. I don't trust.
But
Vivek
they just want them to vote for him. They just want him to suck it up and vote for him.
I think he's. Listen, I think that first of all, I've called Vivek out on Twitter a million times for a debate. If you're watching this, I'd love to debate you anytime. But I know that you'll get kicked out of the primary debates if you do that. I understand.
Is that a rule or something? Or?
Apparently, I did not know this, but I've been challenging him to a debate for a while. He said some things in the debates that I take issue with, and I'd like to talk to him, at least just talk to him on my show about it. And someone actually posted the RNC's rules that says if any candidate takes part in any of the unsanctioned debates around the country, they will be immediately removed.
What if you guys are just here having a conversation?
Yeah, that would be different, and I'd be okay with that.
It's not a debate, right?
Yeah, long form panel. I'd be down with that.
But I don't think Vivek will do it because I
so
mentioned him talking with Dave Smith, and he was more like, well.
Oh yeah, he was like, I'm only going to go for the real candidates, Trump.
Yeah, well, he's not even going to get within 10 feet of Trump. That's the thing.
Trump doesn't want to debate.
And I said that. I said, I'm likely to be on the ballot as a libertarian. VP? Well, yeah, I guess that would change things. And I said that the Republican debate, the primary debate, was just a VP interview. That's really what it was.
I think Vivek's great.
Yeah.
I don't think he's perfect. I don't think any politician is out there with like their actual diary, broadcasting their thoughts. A lot of what they say is well-crafted planning. You go to someone like Vivek and he runs a biotech firm and you say, what's your position on Aleppo? He's going to be like, to be completely honest, I don't know enough about it.
Right.
I haven't thought enough about it. And it'd be difficult for me to give you an answer. Vivek is the kind of guy who would say something like that on the spot, but go research it, and then come back and give you a general cursory response. So what that means to me is when you ask him on these debate stages, like, how do you feel about Medicare and Medicaid? He'll give you an answer, but it's like it's not like his specialty.
Right.
So he's giving you the political response. But just from meeting the guy, we've had him on IRL twice, once with me, once with Seamus, and we've had him on the Culture War. I mean, it feels like you're talking to a real person.
Yeah.
It doesn't, like, we've had politicians, and I cringe without naming anybody. You have the politicians on the show that are playing the politician game, and it is so annoying. Yeah. It's like, dude, don't come on this show if you're not going to be definitive on your positions and your answers. No, Vivek outright was like, he's just like chilling. Yeah. And I'm like, what about service guaranteeing citizenship? And he's like, yeah. And then we talked about the idea that if you want to vote in this country, after you, male or female, sign up for the selective service, you get a voter ID card. Right. And that's it. I really like that idea. I don't think it's perfect, but I like the idea.
I like the idea as well. I don't think that limiting voting is a winning argument. I don't think that there's an appetite in the United States for it.
You don't want to abolish the 19th Amendment?
I didn't say that. I know
so yes,
there is a difference between what I want and what I think there is an appetite for in the United States.
True.
There's a significant difference.
Your ideals aren't necessarily your platform.
Phil, I got a plan for you guys. It's really, really simple.
Let me hear it.
It is called the Omnibus Bill, and what you do is you write a single sentence. Or you write a sentence that says, citizens of the United States may only vote with a voter ID received after registering for the selective service, irrespective of biological sex. And then you just slide it right in the middle of those 6,000 pages and watch them sign it.
I mean,
problem solved.
You have a point. But again,
no one's going to read it.
I don't support. I don't think that that's a good way to pass it either. I would love to see, a return to the idea that there are things that are acceptable for the federal government to legislate, and there are things that are not. And most things fall under the not category. And that's essentially the goal of limiting people's vote, right? Or the idea. The idea is there are things that people are voting on, that they're voting, in ways that harm the country and stuff. So, like, I get it that people are like, oh, we would like to limit the damage that's possible by the whims of people voting, because essentially that's what you're talking about. People vote on whims with emotions. And I understand, but I don't think that that's something that the right should really try to seriously engage in, because I think that it is a total loser.
Yeah, I agree. It's such a shutdown of morale. Like 90 million people will be like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Even
strip people of their voting rights.
The same people that'll say, "Oh, this is a terrible idea," and blah blah blah. Those are the same people that will never read a goddamn book to vote. Like, they will go and they will vote the most for the most idiotic reasons. They'll vote because they like the guy's smile or they like, she's whatever. They'll vote for the absolute most awful reasons. But then they'll sit there and be like, no, I need to have my vote counted because, I got to vote for the guy with the nicest smile because I can't be bothered
Well, that
to
happens.
think
That
all the
happens
time.
already.
Which is that's the whole reason to say you should limit votes.
Yeah, I think after the TV was invented, there's a big shift in presidential candidates became drastically more attractive.
Well, that's the famous story that Nixon on radio, they said he won, and on TV they said he lost. Because on TV he was sweaty and clammy.
That interview is that debate is awesome. He was so sweaty, and Kennedy came in so cool. And it's same thing with Clinton. In Clinton's first debate, he looked like a moron. And then he must have had somebody be like, look, this is where you messed up. This is where you messed up. This is where you messed up. And he examined it in his second debate, dominated George Bush.
You know why Trump crushes it in the debates? Because he's not giving you that canned political garbage. Sure. Because people are so tired and sick of, Deepwater Horizon as an oil spill. And the executive comes out and goes, we're sorry. We work really hard, and with your help and assistance, we will clean it. Oh, shut up.
Yeah.
We know the moment you went back, you're sweating, and you're like, how much is my bonus going down? And then Donald Trump goes on stage and just interrupts and just says whatever, and it's like, well, there you go.
I agree. I agree 100%. I definitely sympathize more with somebody who feels like a normal person than a canned response. And, that's my campaign's a blue-collar working class campaign who's trying to appeal to the middle class. So I get it 100%.
I like the fact that he's 6'3" and 215. Yeah. I think that's
definitely true. Definitely true.
Yeah.
Very true.
We gotta jump to this story, ladies and gentlemen. It's a sad story. A sad story from the Daily Mail. Mitch McConnell freezes again. Republican Senator 81 sparks health concerns by suddenly stopping for 30 seconds. I'm gonna play for you this video, and it's very strange. And let's make sure we have the audio going.
Senator, you're up for election in
Check this out.
3 short years. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing you.
That's okay. What are your thoughts on running for re-election in 2026?
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
He's gone.
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
No, he's not going to. He answered
Yes.
it.
He went, yes.
The response.
That was a quick
All right, I'm
response,
sorry, you all.
too.
We're going to need a
Yeah.
minute.
Keep playing it. This just gets crazier.
He's not incapacitated.
I think they're trying to move him.
Yeah. Look at his hands on the podium.
Yeah,
He's holding on.
He's gripping.
Because he's going
Hard.
to fall over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look how hard he's holding onto the podium.
He's trying not to collapse.
For sure.
Somebody else have a question? Please speak up.
This guy's stroking out.
It wasn't a stroke.
Look at him holding on.
He's about to fall. Look at him
And she's holding
wobbling.
his back. She can't get his arm off the
sad.
podium.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Whoa. The moving his head around and he's looking. It's not a stroke. That's not what a stroke looks like.
He's. I think his blood pressure may be dropping. He may be about to pass out.
Where's
Yeah.
anybody trying to help him? I'd be so concerned if I was standing there.
Speak up.
What efforts is Daniel Cameron going to have to make on the
Just
campaign
keep
trail
going.
when Kentucky's over in November?
Senator Daniel Cameron, you have a comment on Daniel Cameron?
Well, I think the government race is going to be very close.
Dude, he's fried.
Yeah, he's out. He's out of there.
Why would they leave him there?
Because they don't want to show the camera that he's sick.
I don't. It's so.
The
dumb.
craziest point is this: when
All
she's
right, I'm sorry.
look,
Hear the
look.
question, Senator. Running for re-election in 2026?
Okay. Yes,
But he doesn't answer it.
I know. Just yes.
Yeah.
Like whoa, and then his hands holding on for dear life.
He was holding himself up.
He looks like he has full blown dementia to me. I worked in skilled nursing homes for a decade, and that's what it looks like. It's the same thing Joe Biden does. He does the same crap.
Right.
He's sundowning. He's like
Oh, and
probably sundowning.
the bursts of rage.
Yes.
That Joe Biden does,
and the
That's-
ice cream.
Right.
The
yeah.
ice cream, man. We used to give patients ice cream when they started having their sundowning moment towards the evening. Give them ice cream and they'd forget all about it. And so I see the guy with the ice cream and I'm like, he's sundowning, man. He's got dementia. He's sundowning. There's no doubt.
So there was that famous video where Joe Biden snaps at the reporter or whatever who asks about, I forgot what the issue was.
yeah.
And he's like, "Ah!"
Jobs. It was
Jobs. He's just yelling.
Yeah.
And it's what I was told is people who are suffering from dementia know they can't know. Like they're cognizant of the failing. A question was asked of me and I can't put it together, and it's frustrating being unable. And so they get really angry and just go, "Ugh," and they have these outbursts.
Sometimes violently.
Right. Yeah. They get really angry.
This is the weakest I've ever seen a politician in the United States.
Have you seen Feinstein?
Yeah, they're all.
She's like in a wheelchair, like
she's barely alive. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like they're carting her around. She gave power of attorney to her daughter, and she's just being wheeled around. And they were like, "Now that you're back, are you gonna vote?" She's like, "I never left." It's like, ma'am, you've been gone for a long time.
I will say that I've seen a lot more politicians looking bad.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of years than I've ever seen
in
my entire life. Or, maybe their adrenochrome supply ran out.
I wonder if COVID messed people up.
The old guard doesn't want to let go of power. The old guy, I don't know if this is like this. I'm younger here. I don't know if like in the 80s and 70s we saw something similar of these older politicians that wouldn't let go.
I never saw that.
They didn't give public speeches like this.
Yeah.
Well, what would the founding fathers have us do?
I don't know.
I think the issue is Mitch McConnell is just he's waiting for the Genesis device to be repaired in the basement of the Capitol building to rejuvenate him back to a youthful 20, where he'll then masquerade as an intern.
What a loser to think that this is what the most important thing in his life.
What did you mean by what
would they do if they had a guy with dementia in Congress? Like,
go home, man. Go home.
Would they grab him and pull him out of there and be like, "You're not allowed back in"?
I don't imagine.
No, that's not true. There was a bunch of politicians who were whacked out. There was like a Supreme Court justice who was out of his mind.
There's methods. Like if you want to know, all you got to do is look in the Constitution. Like there are methods to remove people from office, impeachment and stuff. There's a lot of times where like people are like, "Oh, well, what would they do?" It's like all of the questions can be answered by reading the Constitution.
So if someone gets dementia, you impeach them?
Well, you could either remove
the answers in there.
If the president was 25th Amendment or something like that, but there's recalls. There's a way to do. I don't know if it might not technically be an impeachment because I think that's actually the trial to remove them from office. So there's other
impeachment is
methods.
the indictment.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it probably wouldn't be called an impeachment, but it'd be there are definitely methods to get people that are incapacitated or cannot fulfill the office. There are methods that the founders had to take them out of office. It's just that there needs to be an appetite for it among the population and among the people that are actually in power. That means people have to get in touch with their Congress people and their senators and be like, "Hey," or whatever, or if it's just Congress, maybe it's just a congressperson or whatever, but you then get in touch with them and be like, "Hey, this is a problem for me. I'm a constituent and this is a problem for me." So until people actually act, nothing will happen.
I will say that correlation is not causation, but I have seen a lot more politicians like this since the demise of Jeffrey Epstein, for sure. So could be an adrenochrome thing.
Like stress
now that Epstein's shut down, Mitch is like
all of them are. I mean, we're watching politicians do stuff like this on a daily basis. I'm like, they know it's not.
Now hold on there a minute. You realize Media Matters are going to take what you just said seriously.
That's okay.
And then it's going to be in the Independent and the Daily Beast.
Listen, I want to be very clear about my presidential campaign. We're running a very serious campaign, but I'm the first libertarian that's going to tell you as a candidate for libertarian president that I am not going to win the presidency. Okay, I'm not under any illusion they're going to let us in the White House. We want 5% to change the political landscape in America.
What does it do?
It gives us national major party status. It will include us in the debates in the next election. It makes the federal government have to do all the same things for the Republicans and Democrats, for the Libertarians as well.
And then you run like a superstar?
Yeah, and then we run a superstar. They get into debates. We start being a party that someone can trust. So I'm not going to come out here and lie to everybody and be like, "Whoa, any Libertarian candidate that's telling you he's going to win the presidency this year is a liar or suffering from delusions of grandeur." I mean, my goal is 5%, change the political landscape for the rest of eternity in the United States, make a national political party. Then you have a candidate that's actually circling the waters, making these people have to start governing like they campaign. Everything's different after that. Everything.
What's
forever.
the difference between running a third party and running independent?
So we fought for ballot access as libertarians already. We're going to get on the ballot, and our party will be on the ballot at least 40 something states. We may not get all 50 this year because we don't have the money, but the fact that there's already, it's just
how much money does it cost?
So it just depends. There's some states that are really bad, like Tennessee needs like 200,000 signatures to get on the ballot. We've been fighting Tennessee ballot access laws ever since I've been in the party, since like 2010. New York is very hard. Alabama has been very hard. Some states we have it already and it's easy, and some states we get it by running smaller down ballot candidates that get a certain percentage, and we've gotten it that way.
So you need signatures, not necessarily money?
Signatures or money, yeah.
Or money? It's one or the other?
Some states are like that. Some states are just signatures.
What about taking over a state?
New Hampshire has been working on that for a long time, and I love the Free State Project. I think those guys have done a lot of really great stuff there. I don't know. I'm sure Phil would agree in some ways, right?
I think they're doing great things.
Yeah, I endorse the Free State Project for sure. I think that's a very smart idea. I talked about doing it in Iowa too. I think that Iowa's a very, very, very conservative, liberty-loving state too.
West Virginia is, but it's got to be cleaned up.
Yes,
there's a lot of red tape.
We didn't send a single Democrat to Washington from Iowa, not one.
Wow,
not a single one. You're welcome, America.
Yeah, I feel like West Virginia is ready to have a big evolution.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a Democrat state for a long time. What was it? Riley Moore. We've had him on the show several times. He's the first Republican treasurer. It's been Democrat. Yeah, he's fantastic, and he skates, skateboards.
Nice.
You're skating downstairs. He did a kickflip. Yeah, super cool.
It would be cool to have some sort of power in the state government.
I don't care about political power. It is interesting running a show like this and knowing as many people as I do, because it's an interesting perspective that I did not have when I was younger when it comes to the idea of like lobbying and how this stuff works. Like quite literally, there are people who are in office that will come on this show and have a conversation with me, and those exchange of ideas can influence laws and other parts. It's like it's really that
crazy.
simple often, just literally talking to a politician and they can draft something and they can change things. West Virginia has, I think, like 1.5 or so million people. Maybe it's 1.6. Maybe it's 1.3. I'm not sure. So it actually is substantially easier in a state like West Virginia or even New Hampshire, where the population is smaller.
Iowa's smaller than West Virginia, I believe. Right. It's right around the same. But during COVID, I went down to the state house there and lobbied with these guys. I got interviews. I did interviews with state legislators. We have great state legislatures.
That's why I want to do the Martinsburg Project.
Yes.
It's like, I'm not going to go for a state. I'm just going to go for like a very small city.
County.
And it's Berkeley County.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Martinsburg is the town. But we've got properties in West Virginia, in Jefferson and Berkeley County. So this is the Eastern Panhandle. You've got, basically what's happening is what I would describe as a woke incursion. Mm-hmm. This is MAGA country, unquestionably. Right now where we do the studio, we're actually in Maryland. And because we operate out of the tri-state, which is Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia. But we're setting up all of the new studio stuff, all of the new stores. Everything is going to be in West Virginia. It is in West Virginia. And what we're finding is that the locals who are in these towns are getting increasingly frustrated with the people from DC who are coming out here and masquerading as MAGA, but secretly trying to implement woke and communist policies and Marxism and stuff like that. We saw it in local schools. The people would run for school board and be like, we want, church and faith and family. And then as soon as they get in, they'd be like, all right, bring in all of the weird, porn and everything for the kids.
Heretics for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you call them a heretic, but like, it's just they're subversives. They're masquerading as we're locals here and we want to do good. And then what do? They have drag shows with children in West Virginia. So my thought is, like, as long as we're here and we're investing, I encourage everybody to come out to Martinsburg, Berkeley County, and what we'll do is effectively the Free City Project, where we just will help revitalize a small town.
Yeah.
There's legacy families who have businesses there. Their great grandparents founded and passed down to them, who have been complaining about how this wokeness keeps creeping in. They're seeing signs everywhere. These events are popping up and they feel like they're losing. I've had city councilmen say they're passing these pride resolutions against the wishes of the town. Thousands of people come out and protest, but it doesn't matter because they still sneak in and start passing these things. And I'm like, then we need to tell them no.
Yeah.
That's the communist playbook, man. I mean, they've been telling us they were going to do these things for years and years and years. I mean, decades, generations.
Almost like having a centralized place where people go and sign some papers to affect everyone else is defunct.
Right.
It's just, we have so much respect. The constitutional Republicans. And I don't mean Republican political party. I mean those who believe in the constitutional republic.
All Americans are Republicans.
They are not.
We all are of the republic, therefore Republican. Yes, we are.
That is incorrect, because right now in places like Charlestown and in Martinsburg, in smaller other areas in West Virginia, you have multicultural Democrats, people who believe that the system should not be run by a constitution, but by the 50.1% majority. And so and also it's not even about democracy in a great deal. It's about, we are the better people who should rule over you.
Yes.
So they lie to get power, and then they vote for things against the wishes of the public to the consternation and protest, and they don't care. And the only way you change it is if you get organized and we have, say, like a free city project, and we come in and we say, push back.
I interrupted you. You were talking about centralized government in the Republic, and because I think it's I think sending people to a building somewhere to go sign paperwork to affect everybody else. Well, I cut you off and said that we're all Republican because we live in a republic.
So to carry on what I'm talking about, you have Marxists, people who believe in the concept of what they call multicultural democracy, and you have people who believe in constitutional republicanism. The people who are in West Virginia, for the most part, see their members of the city council. I shouldn't say all of West Virginia. I can only talk about where I'm at. And they passed in Charlestown a Pride resolution recognizing Pride Month. Everyone's pissed off. They had a massive protest. All of these people protesting, marching. But how do they protest? They silently pray as they march to the city. But the people on the council don't care. All they care about is getting that political power. So you have all of these people who are really angry about what's going on, and they live there, but they respect the idea of the constitutional republic. So they don't do anything out of line. They simply say, well, we better vote next time. What are the Marxists and the multicultural democracists, whatever you want to call them, doing? Saying, just keep lying to them because we're smarter than they are, and then we can make change, and the cops will do as we say.
Alinsky tactics, for sure. And it's
hands down.
They've been doing this for a long, long time here. It's subversion. They said, we're going to get into your institutions. We're going to get into your kids' daycares. We're going to get into your health care. We're going to get into your government, and we're going to take it over. That's what they've been telling us they were going to do that.
People love to, the people, especially like centrist people, they like to say that the right has been chicken littling about socialists and leftists and stuff like that. But the evidence is that there are Marxists all throughout our society in places in places of education, knowledge creation in schools, and in the federal government. There's a straight up Marxist that just want to see in Colorado, and he's calling for an actual cultural revolution. These are real, serious problems in America that have dramatic consequences worldwide because the United States is the last place where there is a significant voice to have to have government controlled and small. Now, it's not the majority voice still. Currently, both Republicans and Democrats want to have a bigger government than I'm comfortable with. But of all the places on earth, the most people that are looking for a limited government happen to be in the United States.
The FBI, well, not originally, but in the 50s, McCarthyism went hard against communists. I mean, to the point where, they would blacklist
McCarthy
people.
was right, mostly.
Yeah. So you think so?
Yes.
So would you advocate for us using government, a secret police force to...
No.
So now it's not a good thing, but then it was?
No, he was right, but the tactics were bad.
Yeah, the tactics weren't great. I think that, listen, I in my head, I take a very Hoppe approach to this. I think that, if you want to have a libertarian society, you can have no tolerance at all in your libertarian society for communism. I believe that.
What does that mean, Hoppe?
Hans Hermann Hoppe is he's a writer who talks a lot about libertarian
just like no communists
stuff.
allowed.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. He takes it a little further than that, but yeah, he says that in a libertarian society, you cannot suffer the communists. They have to be physically removed.
Not even a communist party?
Not at all.
Because in Canada, they have a communist party.
But Canada's not a libertarian.
But anyway,
my view has been, I would say maybe like 6 years ago, my view was, I believe in free speech.
Sure.
Even if you're a communist or a fascist or whatever, we must defend free speech. Now my position is, if you believe in free speech, then I will defend your free speech. If you don't believe people should have free speech, then I will defend your request to not have free speech and not help you when you get silenced.
That's self-defense, my friend. I mean, absolutely.
I'm just giving them what they want.
Yeah.
If, a libertarian guy being like, I should be allowed to speak, I'll be like, you're right, you should. And someone says, no, he shouldn't. I'll be like, then you shouldn't either.
I believe everyone should get what they vote for. You know what I mean?
So like San Francisco?
Yeah,
yes.
Republic, if you can keep it.
This video at San Francisco where like the lady...
I'm born and raised there.
I think it was SF. Lady parks her car and walks inside, and when she comes out, all of her windows are broken, and someone took a dump in the car and smeared feces all over everything.
5 minutes. You know who turned San Francisco into that, right?
Who was it?
Gavin Newsom. He was the mayor of San Francisco. When I was a kid, I grew up in Oakland, right across the bridge. One of the greatest big cities in the country. It was so much fun to hang out. It was pretty safe. It was not what it is today. Gavin Newsom is the one who made it actually really legitimately a shitty city because they have poo maps, right? That you can see all the poops. He's
and
the
a
one
poo
that
department.
And a poo department. He's the one that did that. And instead of the state going, hey, this guy is horrible, absolutely terrible, we got to get rid of him, they made him the governor.
You know what I love about San Francisco when I was there? It's It's $5 to come in to San Francisco, and it's free to leave.
Yeah.
Well, but you know why they do that?
Yeah.
It's because they want you to leave, and they want to make sure people who are poor and low income have a harder time getting in. It's a pressure system.
A lot of good skating there, though.
Was that?
A lot of good skating there, though.
Yeah.
A lot of good hills.
Yeah.
So how would you deal with the communist revolution that we're sensing? Like, if not McCarthyism and the blacklisting of people that are involved.
Yeah. Well, what do? Do you round them up?
I don't think we can do that as Americans. I think that we need to fight the culture war.
I'm sure that we can't do that as Americans.
Yeah. Sorry. I guess I should have said that. Yeah. I don't think we definitely can't do that as Americans. But I do believe that we can win the culture war by fighting in the culture war.
But you saw that
sure.
Josie, redheaded libertarian, had that post a long time ago talking about the 1964 Civil Rights Act explicitly states that communists are not human.
Yeah.
Not in that sense. It says that they're exempt.
Yeah.
That these provisions do not apply to people who are communists, members of communist political organizations, meaning that you are allowed to discriminate against someone for being a communist.
It's so crazy because we're all in this together. This communist no, I'm saying that's the communist mantra.
Wait a minute.
It's so easy to compassionately fall into believing it or feeling it. It's all of us, man. We're all in this. And then as soon as you get power, it's you.
And it's that's the part of what the left does intentionally. And people hear it all the time, but it's almost as if the word has lost meaning. The left, specifically the far left, is intentionally subversive. So you look at the Nazis, right? You look at the white nationalists, people like Nick Fuentes and stuff. Nick Fuentes is dying for people to hear him say exactly what he believes. He will tell you that he's racist. He will tell you that he believes that there should be a policy that gets rid of, people that he considers undesirable. He will tell you right out. The left is going to lie. They're going to tell you that, no, this is for democracy. We all get a say, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They will lie and tell you all kind of good things. And then once they're in a position of power, the boot comes down. So as much as the National Socialists and the Nazis are terrible, the commies are worse because at least you can identify the Nazis. You can see them, and be like, okay, these are the people we can't listen to. And it's clear because they'll tell you what they believe. Yeah. The commies will lie to you. So it's like, well, I don't know. Is this guy just a Democrat? Because they're going to tell you, oh, well, I'm a liberal, I'm a progressive, blah, blah, blah. No, you're a commie. You're an authoritarian that will kill people, give them the authority, give them the power.
The communists will lie their way into being a teacher at kids' schools.
Absolutely.
And show them your.
I got an idea.
Absolutely.
I have an idea. I know what we could do. We can create a communist utopia. Not everywhere, but we just find like maybe 1,000 acres, maybe in Wyoming or something, or Montana, some federal controlled land. We, put a big fence around it. We call it communist utopia. Everyone's equal. Everyone gets access. And we say, you are free to go there if you want. And we will operate this jurisdiction exactly as you would like it to be. So diversity, equity, inclusion, committee hearings, and there will be a base level of funding provided for the initial startup. And then all the communists will choose to go to that commune where they will live as agrarian people and share.
They'll be killing each other in 2 years. It'll be bad.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Killing each other and eating people, probably. There's no doubt in my mind.
I mean, the Soviets literally had to make posters in Ukraine during I think it was in like the 30s or something, during the Holodomor, saying, don't eat your kids. Wow. Don't eat your kids.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
That's crazy.
I just like I want to go back to the term constitutional Republican. I really liked that term. I'm doing I'm recording and editing an audiobook for the great David Benner, who wrote Thomas Paine, The Life of Radicalism. Book's out on Amazon, but I'll have the audiobook out soon. And you never really hear that term constitutional Republican or republicanism in 2023, but it's all throughout that book.
It's really so cool. Important because the subversive thing about naming these political parties the Republican Party or the Democrat doesn't mean that they value the Republic at all. Sure. You can call your party whatever you want. It doesn't mean that you are that. Just like these stupid bills, the Save Puppies Act, when they're
but it does now. Interestingly,
sometimes like you find the people that are geared towards the Constitution to tend towards the Republican Party, and that the Democrats are more about mob rule and mob control. Right. But that doesn't mean that they value democracy. If they're trying to shut people's voices down, they're not Democrats.
But democracy is the oppression of the majority.
But you still let the others talk. You still have to let them all speak.
Hey,
no, you don't.
In order for democracy to reign, you would. Otherwise, it's tainted.
We could talk. So democracy has given us what we have today.
We've not had democracy.
Right. Well, Not entirely.
Not
right?
mob democracy.
Yeah.
The founding fathers were
not
terrified
even.
of it.
I mean, democracy in its
51%
purest
can
sense.
take the food away from the other 49.
We've always been a constitutional republic with elected representatives.
Sure.
So we've, like, some states have the proposition system, which is, democratic to a great degree. But what got us here is liberalism. Liberalism is a great thing, but too many people just said, I'm gonna mind my own business and not fight.
Right.
I think I don't blame liberalism. I think the truest sense of liberalism, the founding fathers and their views, classical liberalism, should be defended. I just think the issue is weak men make hard times.
Yep.
And the generations before us allowed communists to come in and do these things.
And corporations.
Yeah.
Because this is the point. It's like what I was saying about what's going on in West Virginia. The people who live in these places believe in the constitutional republic, so they follow the rules. The Marxists do not and don't follow the rules. Right. And it's like playing a game of Monopoly where you're watching the opponent just take money from the bank and you're like, you can't do it. And they go, I can. And you go, okay, I guess.
Right.
Well, I would never do that. It's like, well, no crap, you're losing. They're cheating.
That's what people tell me when I say I want to ban get rid of the NFA and ban the NICS, right? And people are like, well, then criminals are going to be able to do this and do that and do that. And I'm like, they're already doing that. Go to Chicago, man. They got 50 round magazines on their Glocks with a illegal switch.
Yeah, full auto.
All it does is keep me from not being able to get a switch on my Glock.
So jealous. I'm so
we
jealous.
all are.
I want machine
they
gun
have kids
Glocks.
running around with full auto Glocks with extended mags.
Yeah, 50 round magazines.
And I can't have one.
And we can't have one because it's illegal. And come on, those laws don't do anything but make sure that those criminals, thugs, have those guns, and I don't. That's it.
We're going to go to Super Chats. So if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends if you really do like it. It is, we've done no marketing for the show. So everything that we have and where we are at is all thanks to you guys who watch the show, telling your friends about it. And I really do appreciate it because, I look at some of these shows and I wonder how they get so big. And recently I've noticed something really interesting. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. People are running their podcast as advertisements on YouTube now. Full 2-hour-long shows.
Oh, awesome.
Yep.
But it's insane. I'm trying to listen to music, and then all of a sudden I hear a guy talking about what's going on. And I look, and it's like ad will be done in 1 hour and 37 minutes. I'm like,
it's annoying.
What?
Yeah.
Man.
I do not like that. It's because, when you're trying to clean the house and you put music on, it's going to autoplay. Well, then you're like, wait a second, I've been listening to a guy talk for 10 minutes. And you see 2 hours.
But you know what? If 1 in 100 people say, oh, this is pretty good, I like it, and subscribe, the ad works, and they cost a penny.
Yep.
So anyway, my point is we don't do that. We've never done that. And it's just the show exists because you guys like it. And I really do appreciate it. So word of mouth, if you want to support us. And download the Timcast app on the Google Play Store for Android, now available. And if you're having any issues, because there's so many different Android devices, things may happen, just send an email to members@timcast.com, or there might be an email for the app. But we're excited where we're at. Become a member at timcast.com. Go to timcast.com, click join us. We're going to have an uncensored show coming up at about 10 p.m. You don't want to miss it. They're not so family friendly. We swear a lot. They're good fun. And then you guys as members get to call in and ask us questions. Let's read. I'm not your buddy guy says it's fairly unnerving knowing the fate, humanity, and whether liberty will mean anything going forward will be determined fairly soon here.
It's being determined as we speak.
It is. That's just right. That's right. History is happening all around you, my friends.
It is unnerving, but are you ready to fight? I mean, that's really what the question comes down to. Are you ready to push back? Are you ready to continue voting the way you've been voting for the last 50 years? I mean,
look, let's go back 5 years. Yeah. Let's go back to 2018. Let's go back to 2019. And I'm sitting in my little desk saying, like, food prices are going up. There's going to be food shortages. There's conflict happening. You guys need to speak up. I wonder now how many people who heard me say that and said, I don't know, I don't want to risk it, are now looking at their grocery bill being like, I wish I said something 5 years ago.
I'm one of those people that spoke up because of you. I wouldn't be here with the show if you didn't want to get it started.
There you go. But I just think if more people in, say, 2019 or 2020 did come out and say, I will not stand for these things, then Donald Trump would have stayed president and we would be in a very, very different spot. No money going to Ukraine for this crazy war. We'd have better security on the southern border. Donald Trump was bringing manufacturing back. He's far from a perfect candidate, but we got more peace in the Middle East, no new wars, a lot of really good things. I would be willing to bet a large sum of money. It's never, you can't prove it, But I'd be willing to bet that if Donald Trump was president right now, you would not be crying over your groceries. You would not be seeing these TikTok videos of people being like, I can't afford this anymore.
I was crying over toilet paper when Donald Trump was still in office.
COVID's a different story. And you can blame Trump for a lot of what happened with COVID for sure. But I just mean, like, if people just were more active and spoke up more and pushed back socially.
Huge groundswell of change. It happens so fast. It happens horizontally as well as vertically.
42,000 votes was all Trump needed in 3 states. That's it.
Yeah.
Let's wait some more.
It's going to take a big push for sure. Yeah.
But I think Trump's on track to win. If you look at the polling right now, he's rivaling Biden. Biden's up by 0.8% in the RCP average. McLaughlin has Trump up by 1 or 2 points, and in swing states up by like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
A lot's going to change from now until then, but that's why they're going after him to get his name off the ballot, because they know they will lose. All right. Jason Dixon says, hey, Tim, can you please promote the Discord after hours show? We will continue the show long after you're asleep. Only in Discord, all are welcome. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. When you become a member by going to timcast.com and clicking join us, you get access to the Discord server where you can hang out with like-minded individuals who are doing a whole bunch of crazy, awesome stuff. One of the things they do is they have the after show where members hang out and host their own show after we're long done. It's one of the coolest things ever.
That's neat.
Super excited. Yeah, there's a lot
cool.
of the Discord community that we have. They are doing a lot of really cool things, meeting each other, becoming friends, building culture, building community. It's one of the coolest things about being a member at timcast.com.
True, like, grassroots organization right there through the power of the internet. You know, it's really cool to see.
All right. Waffle Sensei says, just wanted to make a point about Vivek getting booed at the debate. He gets booed when he says, I'm the only candidate not bought and paid for. When he says climate change is a hoax, they cheer. Check the tapes. Okay. All right. I hear you.
They booed Trump, too, when he was talking about all the donors in the audience. And he was like, these are the donors that are booing me that I'm talking about.
All right. Europa Chronicle says, Tim, on August 16th, the FBI killed a second disabled veteran, Theodore Deschler, in a pre-dawn raid. In the 2 weeks since, the FBI has been completely silent. They haven't given the reason for the raid. Please help shine a light on the issue. Interesting. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right. Where are we at? Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. YouTube likes to do this thing where it refreshes. Yep. All right. Neglectful Sausage says, reboot Robot Mitch. MAGA, make animatronics great again. God's Other Son says, I want to see Vivek run as VP, mostly because I want to see a debate between him and Kamala. Yikes.
That would be fun to watch.
That would be crazy.
She'd get squashed real bad. He's very articulate. For sure. Even if I'm very weary of the things he's saying, I think he's very
I really want to see him debate Trump because I think competition's only good. He's so good on that stage and it'll force Trump to be better.
Yeah.
You know,
Trump,
a lot of people
Trump's going to shut him down.
It'll
with comedy,
never happen.
Though. It'll be fun.
I think he can roll with the punches, unlike most other people on the stage, though.
He's not going to be like Chris Christie.
No.
That's for sure.
Plus, like, Trump didn't know he couldn't shut down the FBI because his deep state advisors told him, no, you can't fire people individually, Trump. And he didn't read the law, he just gave up. Vivek will annihilate him on that he doesn't read.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What I got to read for?
Not a statesman.
Read. I'm not here to read.
Loyal Snoop Doge says, this country could use a revival of McCarthyism.
I mean, at least the attitude.
Yeah, we definitely need that culture and attitude back for sure. It's time. The time to be weary and alert about communism has come and passed. It's time to start pushing back on this stuff. Man,
there's a significant problem in the United States, and it's not getting any better by saying it's not a problem.
You know the Pirates of the Caribbean, where he's like, you believe in scary movies?
Do you believe in cultural revolutions yet?
Jake
Phillips, start
because
you're living through one.
Jake Phillips says Tario and his lawyer blamed Trump for January 6th in court. Some of us think his sentencing got delayed so he can testify against Trump. I doubt he'll get pardoned. Interesting.
That would be an interesting.
Yeah. I won't be surprised. I mean, Enrique Tario wasn't even there. That's the crazy thing. He got arrested before or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was the day before.
I guarantee you that Trump's not going to pardon him at that point.
I think it was the day before he was arrested.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but he wasn't.
There's a conspiracy
J6, he wasn't
theory
there.
that he's some kind of informant already. So
he was before.
Yeah.
I got to clarify my earlier statement. Donald Trump does read. I just don't think he's ever read the Constitution or laws or anything like that.
So like,
you think Donald Trump reads?
People in the comments are like, he reads.
So like every other politician.
Of course he reads.
He's
not
How many
illiterate.
Americans do you think have actually read the Constitution?
Yeah, exactly.
He may be able to read, but
When
he
people-
does not read. He watches TV.
He probably reads
When people
tweets.
talk about the Constitution, they are only ever referring to the Bill of Rights.
Most people.
Yeah. I would like 99%.
Yeah.
They'll be like, because of the Constitution, we have blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, are you talking about like the distribution of powers? Are you talking about like Article 2? Are you talking about Article 5? What are you talking about in the Constitution? Oh, you're talking about Amendment number 1.
Yeah. The first, second, third. It's fourth, fifth.
Right.
That's it. That's all
I
they
like
know.
the third. The third's great. There's an argument. We were talking about this. The Third Amendment doesn't just mean that soldiers can't be quartered in your home.
Right.
It means you are free from government influence in your own home.
Yes. Supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Then the internet appeared.
Right.
Well, first telephones appeared and
No,
wiretaps
but the issue
became a
is
thing.
the government can't do anything in your house. It's not about a soldier being there. It's also interpreted as, or it should be interpreted as, the government can't say something like, we need to put this listening device in your house because we're in the middle of an investigation.
They keep the listening device in their house, and then they use it on you when you're in your house, and they read your keystrokes and crap.
My favorite are the people who are like, oh, we have to interpret this amendment this way, or the Bill of Rights this way because the founders didn't give us any guidelines on them. I'm like, the Federalist Papers, they literally explain why they were doing these things in separate documents. So there is explanations of these things if you just go and look them up, and there's a lot of books about those other papers that help you learn how to read them. So
I like this chat from Mistress Depp in the regular old chat saying MAGA Swami. Vivek MAGA Swami. We were saying that Trump would call him Ramaswamy.
Yeah, he would for sure.
Yeah.
He'd find some interesting.
But Vivek's playing the campaign very, very well. And now Trump said something like he would consider him for VP.
Oh, lately
But Vivek said no way.
I forget who I was listening to today, but I was listening to someone talking to Trump, and he was talking about how, Vivek was the only guy that he would kind of like would be nice to, but also Vivek's the only guy that hasn't attacked him.
He's also the only guy that raised his hand to pardon Trump until DeSantis looked around and realized, so just
no. To be fair, Nikki Haley quickly does raise her hand halfway.
Okay.
Vivek goes right up, hand as high as possible. Nikki Haley then raises her hand, and then it cascades to the right, and then Ron looks, and then
Ron explained himself in another video, which probably didn't get nearly as many views, where he said, we already decided beforehand we weren't going to do the stupid hand raise thing. And then when they asked the question and they did it, I'm like, oh my God, you guys are really doing this? All right,
that was very smart then, because someone agreed to not do it and then did it. That was very smart in the debate.
That's
very
the snake.
Yeah,
They're like, come on, guys, we're going to punk
It wasn't Vivek
Ron.
who did that. It was what, Brett Baer and Martha McCallum who were hosting?
I don't know. I don't know who agreed with Ron ahead of time that they weren't going to do the hand raise thing.
It's like that thing where it's from The Simpsons. Bart he tells all the other kids, let's prank the teacher and turn all our desks around. And they're like, yeah. And when the teacher walks in, he's the only one who did it. And then they're like, Bart, detention. He's like, ah.
Yes, exactly. It was a good setup, man. Good setup and execution for sure. There's no doubt about it. If that's really what it was, that was good. That was good.
All right. Jonathan Harris says, incorrect about China. Taiwan is where the former rulers fled to when the rogues led by Chairman Mao took over. Taiwan also has the latest chip fabs that give the U.S. an edge in AI and tech in general.
That is the Republic of China, the actual real government of China.
Yes,
that's
the
right.
occupying force is the CCP, which has control of the mainland at present.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too. AMD can make those same chips in Austin, Texas. I used to work for a company that built the robots that made these semiconductors, right? And like we'd ship them over to China, the robots that make these things, and then China would make them and send them back to the United States. It's like it's ridiculous.
Labor's cheap.
It's all just, this whole thing is just a tripwire for war, in my opinion. And honestly, we should be making those things at home. We have cobalt mines here. We have silica mines here. We have all the same stuff. It's not like we can't make those here.
We have too many unions here.
Concerned about pollution, the manufacturing pollution.
I guess,
The
sure.
prices.
They get a lot cheaper labor there, I'm sure, too.
Slave labor, wages and stuff.
But it's like who
or close to.
Taiwan. I don't think Taiwan has like slave labor. Like I know that you get like that kind of stuff in China and
That's
stuff.
what I meant, but you're talking about Taiwan.
in Taiwan, if I understand correctly, because it's a Western style democracy, I think that there is like protections for workers and stuff.
they're a
like
rogue
that.
province.
Pardon me?
They're a rogue province.
Yeah, but they style their government. It treats their population the way that Western democracies do. So I don't think that there's a situation with slave labor. I imagine, I could be wrong, but I don't think that they have the kind of deal where there's, sweatshops full of people working for $1 a day. I don't think that their economy is that poor. I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
The SIG piece is I have zero sympathy for these old politicians gripping onto their seat for dear life. They should resign their seat and enjoy what time they have left. All they are doing placeholding for backdoor bureaucrats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, Mitch McConnell, time to resign. What do they do? The governor appoints someone?
I think the governor would appoint until there's an election.
There'd be a special election, yeah. It would be. I think that it would be a special election.
I mean, in Illinois, Blagojevich went to prison because he would assign the Senate seat.
Yeah, I believe that it would be a special. There'd be a special election, and I'm sure there'd be 3 candidates trying to vie for that.
Is that because it's Kentucky?
No, I think that's yeah, probably it's
in Illinois. When Barack Obama got elected president, Blagojevich was like, "I get to pick who the senator is."
Yes.
Yeah, and then he was like, and he's like, and you got to pay or whatever.
That's Illinois for you.
Yeah.
Right, but I
went to jail for that too.
Right, I think the different states have different rules.
I'm sure they
just
may.
appoint.
I know. Well, yeah, they have to election rules.
That's what they're saying about Pennsylvania. That if Fetterman gets removed for medical issues, the governor will just appoint a replacement.
That's bizarre. Definitely doesn't work that way in Iowa for sure.
Wow.
Is that your home state?
I'm originally from California, but I've lived in Iowa since 2020. My flight left San Francisco Airport at 11:55, and at midnight they instituted a 24-hour lockdown. So
wow!
I ran hightailed. My girlfriend lived there at the time, and so in Iowa, and so I was like, hey, I'm just going to come there for 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Yeah. And I came with a backpack and a suitcase, and now we got 7 kids and a whole huge life there.
7
together.
kids in 3 years.
Well, she had 2. I had a daughter who didn't live with us that I had been fighting for custody with. We've made 2, and I adopted my my oldest daughter when I got custody of her in 2020. I adopted her 2 younger siblings that were going to go to foster care, so I was able to get them. So we went from having just her 2 girls in the house with a son on the way to having 7 kids in the house, and we do have one coming in December as well.
Where would you place yourself in the abortion debate?
I am pro-life. I am very, very, very pro-life, and I do believe that murder is not good, and that there should be some kind of punishment for doctors who commit murder.
I heard Democrats told me you don't exist, that people that are pro-life don't adopt kids.
Yeah,
don't look into the foster.
No, I know more pro-life white Christian people that have adopted than anybody else. And that's the truth. And I'm not saying that as a racial thing, but whenever I hear these pro-life white, nuclear family Christians won't adopt. I know so many that have adopted. Many that have adopted. But yeah, we took in my oldest daughter's 2 younger siblings.
You can't really trust what the left says about the right because the left really doesn't know anybody on the right. They've already excommunicated them from their lives. They're just like, oh no, you voted Donald Trump. Get out of here. I can't talk to you.
Yeah, let's read. We got this from Robert Bradbury. New Hampshire is amazing. Free state project and freedom. Also, New Hampshire is one of the first states trying to remove Trump. I'm not proud of my state. Yeah, what's up with that?
The governor is a Republican, and he believes that Donald Trump being on the ballot is bad because Donald Trump can't win. That's what he believes. I'm not saying that that's what I believe.
When these people, these never Trumpers, were like, Trump can't win, they're lying.
Listen, there's a lot of Republicans that are never Trumpers too.
That's what I'm saying. There's a bunch of them. The DeSantis surrogates and the DeSantis supporters saying Trump can't win. It's got to be DeSantis. It's like Trump lost by 40,000 votes.
Yeah.
What do you mean he can't win? Biden, his approval rating's in the gutter. The economy is bad.
He's being held up by puppet strings.
Right. Of course Donald Trump can win. Yeah. Like, he only needs to win a few states. Look what they're doing, desperate to stop him. I'm just sick of the lies that Trump can't win. Right. I'm not saying he's going to win tremendously. You've got these polls where it's like Trump has 20% of the black vote. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Those polls are interesting, but I doubt that's a big if. But it's like Trump barely won in 2016. He barely lost in 2020. It's a close race.
Sure.
And you've even got CNN saying the data's showing that Trump is actually right now the favorite. But but it's like Democrats are like, guys, Trump might win. And then you get these never Trumpers like, nope, he won't win. He can't.
Well, they have to keep that narrative up to try and get their Republicans to not vote for Trump.
Yeah, because they're trying to get in DeSantis because he's the best they have.
Yeah.
And it's just, oh man, you know what I love? Let's just go there quickly. Laura Loomer does not work for Donald Trump.
Right.
And so when she posts nonsense, you're like, I don't know, whatever. But the DeSantis crowd gets super offended by it. Right. And then people who actually do work for DeSantis react similarly.
Right.
And then when people are like, hey, the official campaign, you guys should not do this. They go, but Laura Loomer did it. And it's like, okay, look, I'll also add this. When the class clown is, throwing spitballs at the front board while making jokes and everyone's laughing and you're enjoying the silliness, and then the nerdy kid stands up, turns around and starts yelling at the class clown, you're not going to be, the nerdy kid's not getting popularity like the preppy little teacher's pet.
And Loomer is the class clown in this situation.
Absolutely. Like the Trump supporters online who do not work for Trump are posting memes, making jokes. When they said that Bill Mitchell looked like an aging lesbian, everyone on the online starts laughing hilariously. It's a dig, it's an attack. And then the response from the tennis people is, I am outraged. How dare you insult me? I now have carte blanche to insult everyone else. And it's like, you're not being funny. You're not being funny.
Right.
You are getting played by these people and then complaining about them, but you're making yourself look worse. I'm sorry, man. Look, I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying Trump, they've been doing this for 8 years. The Trump supporters, for 8 years, they have mastered the meme.
They trolled him into office.
Exactly. Yeah. You're not going to compete by pouting and stomping your feet and saying it's not fair.
With Bruce, I think it was Alex Brucewitz that did the aging lesbian joke.
Yep.
Is he working with Trump right now? Because he was before.
He's part of X. I believe it's called X Strategies.
Sure.
I think that's what it's called. I'm not sure, but I don't think he's an official member of the campaign. But I'm not entirely sure.
My campaign's playing the troll and meme game. It's a very important part of politics these days. There's no doubt about it.
You can't. Yeah. You can't claim the right for your campaign's official staff to start insulting everyone because a handful of people have insulted you.
Yeah.
That's how you lose.
Getting triggered is a loss.
At this point, I'm like, DeSantis deserves to lose because he won't fire these people. And they keep doing it. What happened today was this one guy posted an image where they did a search of all these different personalities, me included, about Hurricane Idalia. And they were like, these people, some of them living in Florida, won't even tweet about this for political reasons. Get the hell out of this state or whatever. And I'm like, I don't even live in Florida. And I had just recorded a video where I was praising DeSantis' response in Florida. And I'm like, look, man, I'm sorry. The DeSantis surrogates are trying to get him to lose.
Right.
That's the only explanation. Because it's like, why would you lie? Like, they lied about Matt Gaetz and they lied about Vivek. Matt Gaetz has been posting nonstop about the hurricane and disaster preparedness, even posting statements from Ron DeSantis. And then you've got Vivek, who said, he gave credit to DeSantis saying, you're doing a good job, keep it up. And then they put out these lies. This guy, I don't know if he actually works for the campaign, but that's the accusation. Because what they do is they have these text groups where they send supporters memes to basically create, I'll put it this way, the Son and Rad video, remember that one? Mm-hmm. When DeSantis appears with the black sun.
Oh, the black sun bottom. Yes.
Yeah.
Can you believe that is called the Son and Rad video now?
But it is.
I mean, obviously,
and apparently what happened was the official campaign produced the video and then gave it to a third party saying, psst, post this and then we'll retweet it. Yeah.
Of course.
Anyway.
So dumb.
Anyway.
We have a nice little clip of that part of that video in my campaign video, but it's just a quick glance.
Wow.
We're talking about, because we just make fun of all politicians at that point.
I am the emu says, shout out to Josh and crew. Love from Sean Burton and the Burton family.
Oh, that's very long time family friend. Awesome.
Nice.
Thank you.
Kneeboop says 50 round mags and full auto handguns. Stop. I can only get so hard.
Right?
We coming, baby. We coming. No,
those videos when they're running around them are crazy.
Yeah, but
it's like it comes all the way down. Like
the truth is, they're so hard to control.
Oh yeah, they're
so
just
ridiculous
spraying
to try
like
control.
it's nuts
for you.
Whatever.
Train. Get out and train.
I train. I do train, but I train. I'm a Beretta guy. I like my spaghetti gats, dude. So I'm a spaghetti gat guy. I carry a 92X all the time. RDO. I don't have a red dot on it though.
All right. Acoustic Theory says we are closer to Weimar than ever before. They will say Trump is our Hitler, destined to rise out of political strife. Because of their arrogance, the left can't see themselves in the mirror. Or they don't care to. They know what they're doing. They're communists.
And getting close to something doesn't mean you're more likely to arrive there because things can swivel back and forth. We are pretty close to Weimar, but we're on the edge of an energy revolution where we start using hydrogen fuel and dipping the cost of fuel by 1/1,000,000th of a cent. Like we might be able to drastically reduce the cost of fuel and energy, which could elevate our economy to a place that it has never been before.
Do you think they'll do that, though? Because we see with medicine, we know there's a lot of stuff that can be cured, and they're not in the business of curing humans. They want us to stay sick. Why would they give us the benefit of a major energy breakthrough Why wouldn't they just keep charging us and just give us a little bit, and they just reap the rewards?
To prevent,
do you really trust like
civil
major
war?
energy companies to have humanity in their best interest?
Well, I mean, if you could leave it to the corporations, I don't think they'll, help us out. But if the people in the government take control of our energy, it would be to prevent civil unrest, basically, and update our fucking Navy. Jeez,
What?
update the Navy, man. We need better fuel sources. That oil is so nasty and heavy.
Let's
You talking about DFM?
What's that?
DFM?
What's DFM?
Diesel, like diesel powered.
Any of that petroleum based stuff is just heavy and
Most carriers
I'm not sure
have
why
gone
you
to
want,
nukes at this point. All
why
of
do
them,
you want to
actually.
spend that kind of money? Like
no, it doesn't cost money now. They figured out with hydrogen, you take methane, which is CH4, you break
upgrading the Navy will cost money.
Well, it will cost resources, yeah. But if we can acquire the resources, it's worth doing.
and then who does the labor?
Humans. They will have new
And
jobs.
what do you do to convince the human to do the job?
What's the
subsidize their
what's the
energy.
reason that
What do you mean
wanna
subsidize their energy? Phil, I would like you to carry a heavy box down the stairs.
Oh, you pay them money.
Oh, money.
I mean,
Right.
well, you say you want to update, but I'm not. I don't understand because I feel like we have like a state of the art Navy. Like it's not like our Navy is like falling behind anyone. And we spend a boatload of money, so I'm not sure what we should what you're looking to upgrade. Like half of the big ships are nuclear powered, like your submarines and your aircraft carriers, and I think some of your destroyers. But then I'm not sure what you're looking to upgrade. There's going to be some fossil fuels that they have. Are you saying get them all off fossil fuels?
Getting off oil is impossible because of lubricants.
Well, I mean, that's what
Well,
that's
that's
why I'm asking what he's talking about.
When they talk about wind turbines, they don't realize you need oil.
Those ships have so much lube oil in them.
Oh yeah.
I fought a lube oil fire for 2.5 days on a carrier. Wow.
So it's like it's
There's
dangerous.
lube everywhere.
It's a lot of lube.
It's a risk to have all that oil.
You know
on
what
the
they
ship
say
because
about
it's
the
so
Navy.
flammable. I mean, hydrogen's flammable too, but it's also very lightweight and could be discharged pretty easily.
I want to read one more super chat before we go, and it's from the Bonus Holes. He says, definitely don't add our band on X, at the Bonus Holes. The algorithm would not like it if you did.
That's a cool name.
And just on that note, I just wanted to mention that video that Phil put up of him performing in front of this sold out massive stadium was just absolutely epic.
It was awesome, and I was super, super fortunate to be able to do it. So
People should check that out on what's your X account?
I am Phil that remains on X.
Yeah,
I'll go ahead and
that
I'll
video
retweet it
is just
right now.
bonkers to see that.
What a dream, man. Dream comes
Yeah.
true. I'm happy for you, buddy.
I mean, look, Metallica's the biggest band in the world. Right?
Yep.
They're the biggest metal band ever. I've been a metalhead since I was a kid, so obviously it was a dream come true, and I'm just super happy that I could help my friends out.
And you opened right before Metallica.
Yeah,
so
we got
basically everyone's piling in to watch your set.
Yeah.
They weren't
to
even
actually
hammered.
watch Metallica.
They weren't even hammered yet.
Did they call you on Wednesday and were like, "Can you come do this show?"
Zoltan sent me a text when I was doing PCC on Thursday, and I was like, "Hold on, I gotta finish. I'm doing a podcast." I talked to him on Thursday night. I had to come here and do the podcast at night. I talked to him afterwards, and he's like, "Hey, can you get on a plane?" So I was like, yeah. So I went and drove to my apartment, grabbed Django, drove to New England to drop her off so that my roommate up there at my place in New Hampshire can watch the dog. Jumped on a flight, flew to LA, got there on Saturday, played on Sunday, got on a plane on Monday, flew back, grabbed the dog, drove back down here yesterday, and I'm here now. So,
All right, everybody. If you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and become a member by going to timcast.com, clicking join us. And you can also download the Timcast app on the Google Play Store, Apple to come soon. That members only show will be starting soon. You can follow the show at Timcast IRL basically everywhere. You can follow me personally everywhere at Timcast. Josh, do you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, sure. You guys follow me at Twitter. It's at Joshua at large, all spelled out. And then, of course, the campaign website is joshuasmith2024.com. I saw a lot of people asking about this hoodie. It says a vote for vengeance, and it is for sale on our campaign website.
Right on.
I am Phil Labonte. I am Phil That Remains on X. I am Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. You can check us out on Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, YouTube. You know, the internet, man.
And I'm Ian Crosland. You guys check out the Timcast IRL live event in Miami coming up October 6th. I believe it is October 6th. We got Donald Trump Jr., Matt Gaetz, Patrick Bet David, hosted by Tim Pool and Luke Rudkowski. I'll be there. More guests, more people to name. And you can go to the timcast.com, hit the banner at the top to go buy a ticket. Also, I'm very serious about retrofitting our economy to start using hydrogen fuel. They had a huge breakthrough where they're able to split methane and turn the carbon aspect of it into graphene and the hydrogen aspect into fuel. So it actually makes money to make hydrogen. You come out with a product that you can sell. And we're just about raising awareness. It's my pinned tweet on X. So check it out and follow me there at Ian Crossland.
You guys can follow me on X at Kellen PDL. And last Friday we had Fresh and Fit, and they said no one watches women's sports. Well, Nebraska volleyball just set the world record for most largest attendance at a women's sporting event. That was like 92,000.
Whoa!
Yeah, lots of people like women's volleyball.
They're making you look bad.
It's crazy.
I wonder why.
Women's volleyball is awesome. Okay, like they're not in bad shape. It is a fun watch, man.
But I've seen some really good videos. You see those crazy videos where it's like the ball's in play for like a minute.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they're all just diving. I'm like, wow.
They're badasses.
Yes. Did you shut your?
Yeah, I did. Kellen PDL. Thanks, guys.
All right, everybody. We will see you all over at timcast.com in about a minute. Thanks for hanging out.